Hey guys, can you hear me?
Cool. I can hear you, but I don't think we're supposed to.
How's it going, everybody? Oh my goodness, that's great. There we go. How's it going, everybody? I am Kyle from Fantasy Board Studios.
How's it going, everybody? Oh my goodness, that's great.
Oh, I'm hearing some feedback.
How's it going?
I think we're okay. But yeah, we're back with session 40 of Everlast. Heck yeah! I mean, this has been going on for quite a few years. Session 40 is quite a milestone. But we are joined by all of the people that are supposed to be here as of late. Again, Eclaas is not going to be here probably for the remainder of the summer. But we do have the rest of our cast here to be able to pick up their characters and explore Folden Rock for the search of Aldrich Monteblair. But first, let's start with player introductions, starting with the Teapot of Madness.
The Teapot of Madness, the Orphan of Helix. I need to start writing all of his names down. Why have I not done this? Actually, I'm checking my notes to see if I have. But Zill has... Oh, I have. The Orphan of Helix, the Teapot of Madness, the owner of Waffle, blacksmith extraordinaire, and future refinium prospector.
Some would even call Zill Waffle House.
Oh!
That's a waffle good idea.
He is the House of Waffle.
I'm glad that when I think, hey, that's a good idea, that previous me had it, and it's right there. But yes, Zill is the slightly naive to the ways of the world, very protective orphan who is armed to the 10s. We passed the 9s a long time ago. with a nice fancy suit of armor that's a little magical that he doesn't understand, and just realized that his axe is getting a little rusty from lack of use, so hopefully he gets to break it out soon.
It's true. If you guys remember, the last fight that you guys had was against
6 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't that long
It was a while ago. No, it was against the giant Hydra.
Why aren't you oiling that, Zill?
Of course,
the
Zill
human
would not have
saltier.
take care of his axe. It was for the comedic effect.
Oh.
That's great. I love it. But yes, that is our player Zill. He is the tank of the party, and he is going to take hits like a champ.
Yes.
Our next player, Luxalia.
Hi, my name is Cole, and I play Luxalia of the Silver Woods.
That
Just
background's very
wood.
fitting for Luxalia.
I know, the Silverwood background. Take a gander.
Beautiful. I'd like to go there someday.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Someday you might. And she's the resident party healer and faith-filled lady that she is, with a mysterious past that nobody really knows about except for me and the Fate Weaver.
It's been somewhat alluded to.
Yeah. But yeah, she's a short little Glyven, who you make sure people don't die, and prays to Alamnia all the time.
Beautiful. So good. Our next character, Yuki.
Hi everyone, I'm Forged Ordained here at Fantasy Forge Studios, and I play the character Mistletoe Yuki. She is a silver draken from the far north reaches of Flamongolith. It's the north part of Everlast. Speaking of Flamongolith, it's Flamongolith. Isn't it beautiful? We maybe will visit it someday. It's
That
very
tavern
snowy.
looks nice and inviting.
They have really good decaf coffee there. It's nice. It's very nice. But no, she is she's really cool. She's a bard blade dancer, so she's not a support character. She is a strictly DPS character with some little bits of support here and there. She dual wields broadswords. Apart from being just a broad in general, she is she uses those broadswords. But no, I would say she's probably kind of like the party mother in a sort of kind of way, even though she's not really mother age. Maybe she is. I don't know. I don't know how long Draken lives. She's like 42 or something. Either way, she's pretty cool. She's awesome, and she likes to donkey kick things too. So hopefully there's nothing to donkey kick here, because she always takes damage for it. She never learns her lesson. That's Yuki.
Nice. And then we have Belbin.
Belbin, yes. Hey guys, I'm Connor. I play Belbin. He too is a Glyven, and the most important thing you need to know about him, I think, is that he just bowled a 300 in bowling, which is a perfect score. Just, I think it was about a day ago in
In-game.
was it last night? Yeah, in game. And so he usually likes to pick fights. If
Anything that moves.
yes, if Yuki is the party mother, then Belbin is the party bad influence. So
The party.
you guys thought I was gonna say father, didn't you?
No, I
And-
I was
OG
not
Con.
going there.
And
Grandfather.
there's a battle between Belbin and Yuki for the soul of Zill.
Oh god, I didn't realize that was a thing.
I ain't either. I'm gonna
Not
try
the
hard.
not the actual soul, but just the good versus Yuki's the angel on the shoulder, Belbin's the devil on the
I
shoulder.
kind of feel like Luxalia should be that
Nice.
angel.
Luxalia's
Yuki's
observing
kind
from
of that
afar.
liminal space
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, you know, the Glyvens were.
They're foiled of each other.
Yeah.
I love it.
Zill's just young and impressionable.
It's true. It's true. Anything else about Belbin that we should know?
No, Belbin, that's all you need to know is that he likes fighting stuff. He's a bit rude. Sometimes. Depends on the day. He didn't sleep a lot last night because he was out partying for the 300. So
That's true. But it did not take away from his stealthiness, sneaking into people's windows, sticking his fingers into things, and, well,
Making everyone sniff his finger.
Smell
8
it.
a.m. in the morning, and I think at least 6 people have sniffed his fingers already.
It's impressive.
Smell it.
Isn't that a line from Tangled? 8 o'clock in the morning, and
Sniffing finger.
not the sniffing fingers thing, but Flynn says it as he's running out of Corona. And anyway.
Oh, that's right, at the very beginning. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we will just continue on with the usual, and we're gonna have everybody introduce one part of Thordane. We're gonna go in the order of Luxalia, Yuki, Belbin, and Zil.
Thordane is
Sorry, yes, Thordane.
I was going first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thordane is WrestleMania 2-time defending champion.
How?
The good dice rolls, I'm telling you. His stats are in the right places, I guess.
For wrestling, yeah.
Yuki.
That's what I got.
Yeah. Well, he's the captain, my captain, and as far as we know, he's still kind of a man of science. That may change. I have no idea, but as of now, he likes his science and he educates the party goers that Belbin brings to the ship every single time, and gives them a night to remember. That's for sure.
Connor.
Not in that way.
He educated them about plate tectonics.
Sorry, Kyle. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. He has a talking sword that is bloodthirsty and wants to turn him evil. And on top of that, I think Thoradin. This is Connor conspiracy, but the character of Thoradin may be cursed for whoever plays him. Has to take leaves of absences. So there you go.
Maybe Calvin Esch has gotten to the actual play. Dane, you best watch out.
It's all good. I've lasted a year, so we're good.
We just have to make whoever plays Thordane also have another character. It negates the curse.
That's true. 2 characters. And then Max, do you have anything to add about Thordane?
I mean, the first thing comes to mind, it's the same thing I said last stream, but maybe we have someone new. He is, I believe, a woodland elf, but due to just his adventures and time underground, what it did to his complexion, he is oft mistaken and believed to be a dark elf. Is that right? Is that the...
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And actually, the party met Thordane while trying to escape from the Subterran. And apparently he smells really good in the Subterran.
We even
Like
have the
Thordane
candles
was
to prove it. For those who play Dungeons and Dragons or Everlast in the future, you can have your if you're in the Subterran, have the Subterran waft through your house and feel like you're actually there, and it smells pleasant.
It does not smell
Candles.
like Shelob's lair.
It does not.
Oh, candles! There we go. I'm like,
Yeah,
candles, not
yeah.
a command.
Candles of the or fragrances of the realm. We just launched it last week, so it's pretty cool. So if you want good smelling candles for your house or for your tabletop RPGs, they're available for you to purchase at a really good price. So
Speaking of
check 'em
Thordane,
out.
too, we have a Vrasu Kalsend, which is the main
We
city
do.
where he is from.
where is it? Right here. We got the glass candles. They're bigger. They're 9 ounces. Vrosu call canopy, and it smells very like Vrosu call.
Speaking of which, I don't have a fancy candle, but I'm gonna go light a not fancy candle.
So there you go.
Do it.
I didn't think I knew where Thoradane was from. I just always
Yeah.
assumed that he lived in the Subterran.
Can I show him, Kyle? Can
Yeah,
I show him? I'll move it out of the way.
Yeah,
So if you're looking at the map here, Vrosu call is right here. Right down here.
So actually,
And-
if you take into account where everybody's located, you're probably closest. Well, right now you're probably closest to Helix, but other than that, when you were down at the Daishan Archipelago, you were closest to Thordane's home, or at least where he grew up.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But anyways, yes.
But my favorite, I will say my favorite, is library coffee. It smells like a coffee shop. It's great. Anyways,
If you do want to check out our candles, feel free to do so. I believe the link's been dropped in the chat.
Oh, it has.
It does help us to help create the game of Everlast and the many arts that you've been seeing in all of this. It's been a good time. But last things about Thordain. He is a support character, so he uses a bow, shoots from the back lines. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of the party. Not only is he pretty good with navigation and survivability, but he also has some heals. He can shoot from a distance, and as mentioned, he is a man of science. He makes up for that intellectual stat that a lot of the party don't have.
I have no idea what you're talking
The
about.
dump
Zilla's a
knowledge stat.
genius.
Hey,
he's a
my knowledge
philanthropist.
is a
well.
2.
That's actually pretty good. +2 is pretty good. But anyways, that's all of our party members. That's our characters for this adventure. I am Kyle. I am the creator of the game, the Fate Weaver, and playing both with and against these players as they make their impact on Everlast and telling their story as they fight back the evildoers of the world. It's a good time. I'm really excited to see where today's adventure brings us, and I guess with that, we can go ahead and jump into a little bit of recap from what the party is doing, what the adventurers are doing. As mentioned, this is episode 40, and because it is episode 40, they've done a lot. But long story short, they're in the search for a man named Aldreg Monteblair so that he can lend his key, the key of the sky, to be able to unite the Council of the Keys to discuss what is happening with the basically everything that's going on in the Great Peninsula. Thus far, not Great Peninsula, the Inland Sea, Aishan Archipelago, the seas of Everlast, essentially. There's been some dubious things that have been happening in relation to the elemental pillars and all that. But anyways, long story short, they have made their way to Folden Rock, where that apparently was the last sighted last place that Aldreg Monteblair has been sighted. And so they have been spending time meeting all of the various characters within Folden Rock to try to garner any kind of information, which has led them to a few places and a few people they needed to talk to. One of which being Pietrix, someone that frequents the Adventurers Guild, and he gave some information about some people that maybe you can investigate in, such as a man named Rickett, such as the Harrowgates. The Harrowgates are basically the merchant family that runs Golden Rock, and they only seek audiences with individuals who are basically noteworthy enough and have done enough for the town or to be able to garner some kind of audience. But, so currently, the group is searching down basically a crime lord from the old days of pirateering and whatnot, who has kind of gone into hiding, but his work is still abroad within Folden Rock, by the name of Rollo Beaumont. And they are trying to find him and information how to get to him. And so they have done their due diligence and have made their way through the town, talking to people such as Agnes and whatnot, and doing investigation for orphans and all that kind of stuff to be able to garner the information to be able to gain access to Rollo Beaumont. And basically they're going to grab him, take him, bring him, hopefully cash him in for cash. But hopefully that will give them some sort of notoriety to be able to get an audience with the Harrowgates. But in the meantime, they have snuck into Soot and Ash, a place that they have been told to go to
Yes.
on many occasions. At least it's been hardly hinted at. On many occasions, Belbin, he climbed up, snuck in through the window, stuck his fingers on some incense, and as the curious people that they are, they're like, where's incense? Let's go to the temple to discover, like, if they know anything more about what the ongoings at Soot and Ash. And so, as soon as Hightown opened for the day, they made their way to Fulton Temple, and that is exactly where we left off last time, is they had made their way inside the doors of Fulton Temple, and there are many people that are around, hoping to find seats, but as you can see, it's actually quite full. It is a Friday, in just terms of the timeline here. It is a Friday, and it is a Friday morning, and you can see that most of the seats, it looks like a lot of individuals, not as many families, but many people have gathered in the seats. I'm going to have all four of you, not including Thordain. I won't give you Thordain rolls unless absolutely necessary, but all four of you, I'm going to have you make wisdom skill checks for me.
Wisdom. I'm not wisdomous.
That's a
a
10 for
12.
Belvin.
12 for Yuki.
12.
14.
Okay. And
Nice.
Luxalia does not look like she is here. But with that being the case, everybody has noticed to a degree that there are two sections actually to this church. There is kind of like an upper section, and they're not really pews. They're more like spaces like on the floor that you can sit. And up towards the front, it looks like it is divided by men up front and actually women in the back.
Is this weird? Has this not been the case in any of the other temples or whatnot that we've visited?
You did not notice this to be the case, because I think the only other occasion you've gone to a church was in Helix, and that was not the case in there.
So are we walking in mid like temple ceremony?
No, so basically people are gathering. So the service itself starts at 9 a.m. and by the time you have gotten into the church or the temple, you're about 15-ish minutes before the beginning of the celebrations.
Well,
Is there like a... Go ahead, Connor.
Yuki and Luxalia, why don't you guys go to the back? Zill and I will go to the front, and Thordain, you stay outside and guard the tower, the temple. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Luxalia and I will go to the back. By the way, Cole will be back shortly. I got a message.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. But
He'll be back shortly.
As you do so, you're actually greeted. The two groups of people are greeted by different people. A man who's in basically like these long brown robes, and you can see on the chest there's kind of this cloth that goes down. It's priestly looking, but it droops down to the floor on both the back and the front. The back kind of actually leaves a little bit of kind of like a train like tail, and it's white, and it has like a gold insignia on it. I'm gonna have since all of you are there, you can have you make knowledge, or actually make piety skill checks for me.
Piety. Even Thordain?
Yeah, Thordain's there at the moment.
Yeah, can you make a skill check?
Sure.
Since Luxalia's not here.
3.
Oh,
Something is going
Belvin, it looks
horribly
fancy.
It's okay. Oh man, I'm so bad at. This is the one stat Luxalia's good at. Lord. Okay. Well, that's a natural 1 for a 1 for Thordain. And that's a dirty 16 for Yuki. 15.
Something is horribly wrong with Zill today. Nat 16.
Nice. Luxalia rolled a 19 apparently.
Okay. For those who rolled higher than a natural 1 and a 3.
Thordain and Belvin are just like, wow.
This guy's fancy. To the two of you, this guy just looks like he is just like lavish in like wealth, because it's not just like embroidery of gold. There's like crystals and like diamonds and stuff that are like embedded and like sewn onto the fabric. This guy looks quite well, he's quite fabulous, that's for sure. But he has kind of like this kind of like a bowl looking like hair, and it's kind of like a friar look kind of. And the hair droops down over the side, kind of like a mushroom cut. However, Zill, Yuki, and Yuki and Luxalia, you know this to be basically the traditional like vestments of the Elamic tradition. However, Zill, you see this you know exactly what this is. You don't know how, maybe it's something you've picked up in a book or something, but you know exactly what this is. This is
Zill doesn't read.
This is the icon of the Order of Amandalius. But anyway, so this man comes up to you and he pulls Zil and Belbin to the side and he says, "Good morning to you. What are your names?"
Hello, sir. You're fancy.
No, no, no. Not fancy at all. If anything, I have taken vows to live lives of poverty.
Well, you are dressed a step above me.
Belvin, that does not take much.
Well, I bet you this fellow wasn't out partying last night.
That is
Because he-
true.
Did not bowl a 300.
Make an influence skill check for me.
All right. Ooh, finally a decent roll. Influence. 15.
15. Ah, yes, word has reached these ears, especially amongst the men of the congregation. They've been mentioning something about someone and the number 300. The bowling parlor, you say? Is that some kind of recreational activity? Some kind of athletic endeavor?
All the above. I would say most people have it be recreation, but I take it a step above that sometimes. Last night was one of those times.
But it is good that you are here. You can give thanks to Alomnia for your achievement.
Okay.
My name is Brother Julian. I will be taking care of you and leading the two of you to your seats. And then he gestures over to Luxalia and Yuki. Actually, he even mentions to Thordane. And Thordane, what is he doing in this situation?
Thordane's enamored by his beautiful jewels and vestments, and he says, "For being someone who has poverty, it doesn't seem like you're very philanthropic."
I do
Here,
not own these vestments. In fact, they are to give glory and praise to the living god Alomnia.
I see.
They are only to be worn during service times, and and as soon as the service is ended, I will be removing these and going back to my traditional garb.
Thordane says, "I respect that," and hands him an EP.
Brother holds out his hand as he pops it into his hand, and he looks about it. He's like, "Wow, quite generous indeed." And he walks over to a box and he plops it into the box.
He says, "Well, I am the captain of the ship. I must pay for the hoi polloi who don't pay." And he gestures to the to us, Yuki, Belbin, Luxalia, and Zil.
Well, of course, we don't expect anything, but anything that you give out of the goodness of your own hearts, we would most graciously take for the service of us and for the service of Alomnia and the people whom we serve.
Wonderful to hear. Is it? Are you guys part of the Order of Almondalius? Is
We
that
are.
what I? How far spread is your order?
Well, the headquarters of our order actually remains in Hightower. It is the responsibility of the High Elves of Hightower to be able to, speak on behalf of doctrine and divine revelations from Alomnia. We are his servants, and we are to follow the words that do come from Hightower and the High Priest there.
Okay. Do you have a moment?
Not now,
There's-
but after the service, I would be more than happy to be able to help
Yes.
you with anything.
There's some news that I think you are owed, but is best not said in public.
Well, you know where to find us. If you want to stick around after, we can collaborate on what information you have to tell us. If anything, if it is something of extreme importance, which this does seem to be the case, perhaps, and he gestures up to the front, there's no one there currently at the moment, but he says, perhaps our High Priest Godfrey, would be able to listen in as well.
If he's available after the service, it's waited this long. It can wait another hour or so. It's assuming how long that service is. Zil is not well practiced in a temple, but
It's okay. This temple is for everybody. everybody who comes to give thanks, to give offerings of sorrow, even intercessions for others. This place is a sacred place that is open to all.
Yuki also introduces herself. Hello, my name is Mistletoe Yuki.
Did I say my name?
I think you
Sorry.
did. You mentioned Zill, right?
Okay.
We didn't
Anyways.
say we didn't say our names, but you just said Zill.
Yeah.
So
These are my companions. We'll just say that Thordain had introduced what he paid for everyone.
Okay.
Anyways. But Yuki says, I can't help but notice, but I see that the women are sitting in the back and the men in the front. I've never seen this before. What is this practice?
Ah, well, of course, this is a practice that has been passed down from tradition. This is, I think, the 3002nd year of this specific practice and tradition, and we would greatly appreciate if you would follow in accordance to these practices. There are other sects of the Elamnic faith, but in the Order of Amandalius, this is what we ask of those who partake in this celebration with us to be able to adhere by.
Of course, I've meant no disrespect. I just never seen it before. But this is specifically Order of Amandalius?
That is correct.
For my notes. Okay.
And as you speak, Yuki, he introduces you, and a woman comes up. She's wearing, again, a very similar brown garb, but she doesn't have a basically this jeweled tabard, I guess, that goes over the top. And he introduces her. He says, this is Lady Eloise. She's one of the faithful here, and she will show the ladies to their seats. Men, if you would follow me.
We follow.
Okay. And you all get seated. You all kind of get split up because there's like different areas where you can sit, but it's not all combined and squashed together. Again, it's pretty crowded, and you can see that there are a number of people here. But with as you look around at the people amongst you, you can see that it is a good blend of people of obvious opulence and wealth, and then people who are not so. However, the one thing that you do realize is you do not see a lot of people that look foreign. It's pretty much all humans, and to a degree, wearing the kind of the common custom garb of the people within Fulton Rock. You don't see a lot of travelers or even seafarers or merchants that are here.
I have a question. So are the different classes of people split up and like kind of segregated by where they are?
No,
or are they, like,
they're all intermixed together.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Sounds good. We sit, I guess.
All right. As you sit, I'm going to have all of you make piety checks for me.
Oh my goodness. June is a good month for Zip.
I guess. Thordain rolled a 3 and Yuki rolled a 10.
Okay.
Dirty 16.
Belvin got a 7.
Okay.
A 6.
Oh! Sorry.
I rolled a 1.
Oh!
Belvin's better behaved than Luxalia in church.
Or at least
What was I'm sorry, Yuki, what was Thordain's and
Thordain's was a 3 and Yuki's was a 10.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as you get split up and divided, one of the things that Zill, as you're brought up to your seat, you are actually seated directly up front. And as you do so, you're able to take in pretty much everything with the best sights that you can. And with that being the case, you actually find it much easier to be able to focus and not be distracted. You're pretty much taking everything in almost as if it is the first time that you have come to a temple of this esteem.
Which it probably is.
It probably is. And so it's an overwhelming experience, but it's also a humbling experience, and it helps you to be able to focus on everything that's going around you. Belbin, as you take your seats, you're about 3 rows in, and you're sitting third from the end seat on the right. As you look around and you see, you feel a little bit out of place. However, you see the way that people are sitting there and praying, and whether you want to pray or not, it is up to you, but you are easily able to take on the posture of the people that are around you. As we go to Thordane, so is he going to a seat or is he going outside? What was the deal with that?
Oh, yeah, he was just following the crowd.
Okay,
He was going with them, yeah.
and he got a 3?
A 3.
Thordane, he's led to his seat, and it's on the other side from Belbin, but towards the back. And as he is offered to take a seat, Thordane, he actually decides instead to stand and basically like lean against the wall on the side. It is something that is clearly out of place, but he does not take a seat. However, Brother Julian does not force him to take a seat.
Oh. Interesting.
And then to the ladies, Yuki, you are seated amongst the group of individuals. You can see, again, you're the only Draken that's in the area, but you're able to fold your wings and sit down, and you're squished between these 2 women that both of them lean over to you and say, welcome, welcome, we're glad that you're here. And they have a seat, and Luxalia, unfortunately for you, you're at the very back, and there is someone who is quite tall, a lady who is quite tall that is sitting in front of you, and it is blocking your view of the altar.
Oh.
And a lot of crying babies.
A lot of crying babies. They're just rigging the back, all of them at the back, just
And a kid just keeps pulling on my sleeve.
pulling on your tail, playing with your tail, and it's nice and bushy. And one of your many
my
tails.
best, but it's just I can't focus.
Still better than Thordane.
Thordane's just like, ugh, and he sits to the side. About 5 more minutes pass, and immediately there is a procession. It's a silent procession, as from the side of the altar comes this man in basically these golden robes. I'm gonna have all of you make wisdom skill checks for me. Actually, no, knowledge skill checks for me. Thordane can have hope on this.
Hope. And he definitely appreciates that. That's an 18 for Thordane.
11.
Okay.
I don't remember. Do I still get a +1 bonus to this or no?
You do, yeah.
'Cause
This is absolutely
class stuff
something you would get
changed.
a
Okay.
+1.
11 for Yuki.
7 for Belbin.
5.
Luxalia, you can't see.
One bonus.
You're sitting behind a pillar, basically. But for those who rolled higher than a 10, you realize that this is actually the traditional, basically coloration and garb of the Hightower Elves, and so it is gold and green primarily. Mostly gold, but like the undercloth is green, and you can see a very similar looking tabard with the Order of Amandalius on the side, but he's kind of got like this tall hat that rises up above. It's different than a bishop's hat, but it is quite distinct from any of the other alumnic kind of traditions that are here. And he greets you all, and he asks you all to rise.
We stand.
Stand up. He is speaking, so he is speaking also in the common speech as well, so ever speech.
We like that.
And he looks to all of you and he says, "It does my heart good to see such a full congregation today. It looks like we do have some visitors from out of town, and we welcome you.
Nice.
As we prepare to celebrate this sacrifice, I want each of you to be able to reflect inwards on yourselves. The things that are burdening you down, the darknesses of your heart and of the world. I want you to be able to offer them here in front of me, in front of all of us here today. For those who are unfamiliar with our tradition, we spend much of this service reflecting on Scripture. and he pulls out basically this kind of jewel-encrusted book. This is the Guardian Historia for those who are unfamiliar. And this is our direct connection with Alumnia. Later this morning, we will be asking for sacrifices. If you have brought a sacrifice with you, wonderful. And as you had entered, you notice that there is a small pen on the outside of the church, and you notice that there were a few livestock animals that were in it as well. If you do not have a sacrifice, that is fine. At 3 p.m. every day, we have a sacrifice. And this is where we give thanks and we praise to our Lord, our King, Alumnia. But more importantly, we offer ourselves in devotion to him. If this service speaks to you, then you, of your own accord, can present a sacrifice and a pledge, and it will be pleasing to Alumnia. And with that, the service begins. He asks you all to remain seated. Yes, Dean.
I forgot that Princess Milo's with us. What's she doing?
She's with you guys. I'm assuming she's just hanging out.
Okay. All right.
So, as this is all happening, Zil is very new to all this. He doesn't really understand a lot of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But this is his thought. One might even say his prayer. Like, okay, Alumnia. Can't say I've ever really known you before. I've heard of you a few times in Helix. But since I left, I've seen some things. I've met some people who like you more than I knew people could. Luxalia. And there's something to it. And I've seen the opposite. We've met Malvish. That's scary. So I don't know what to do with all this. But I think you're out there somewhere. I'm coming to think you can hear me. So hi. I'm Zil. But maybe we can be friends. I don't know how this works. But I'm open to it, maybe.
You sit, and as you wait for any kind of response, nothing comes to you immediately, and then you begin to hear something, a speech that you are unfamiliar with. It is spoken in Aluvina, which is the language of the High Elves, as the High Priest opens up the Guardian Historia and he begins to read line from it. As you look around, everybody is chanting the same words themselves, almost as if they have this memorized around you. Luxalia, you are... I'm going to have you make a faith survival check for me.
Has Bill been burst into flames yet?
Oh, yeah. Finally, a decent roll. That's gonna be faith. Survival check. So it's just the main stat.
Mm-hmm.
19.
So from what I remember, you do not know Aluvina. Is that correct?
I do not. I know Alamnik and Glyven and Everspeech.
You do not speak the words in but you are familiar with the tradition enough to be able to know where they are reading from, and you begin to recite from memory in Alamnik.
Heck yeah.
Along with them. Yes,
How's Alumnic and Oluvinina different?
So Aluvina is the speech of the High Elves, and so those are the ones that
Okay.
of Hightower that they speak
Gotcha.
regularly. From what you know, Lomnic is a dead language. It is a language that most people don't speak except for in very secluded religious circles. And very, very, very few people would even know how to read and or translate the symbols because it doesn't look like traditional writing. But as Luxalia you begin to do this, I'm going to give you one blessing.
Yeah. Sick.
Nice.
How's everybody else
I'm-
reacting in this moment?
I'm basically like a person who goes to like a normal church mass just reciting things in Latin
Yeah,
as we're going. And they're just like, the heck?
yeah, it's
Why
like
are you saying the Our Father in Latin? Weirdo.
Yeah.
How's everybody else
I
reacting
guess
in this moment?
Yuki. Yeah. I guess Yuki is doing her best to try to stay focused and try to take it seriously. I mean, she did go to a Lomnic service at the temple when she was growing up, but it was never anything that she really took super very seriously. It was actually thanks to Luxali and seeing her piousness that Yuki wants to try to take it a little bit more seriously. So she's going to try her best. She doesn't know what's going on really, but she's going to try to remain prayerful and get the most out of it based off of the initial words that he had. The bishop had, or whatever that guy,
The
bishop,
High Priest, yeah. High Priest.
high priest had
Mhm.
said is for that. So she'll do that.
Belbin is
Belbin?
he heard that we were supposed to bring a sacrifice, so he's digging through his backpack looking for something just to try to fit in. And so he's kind of like an old woman
no.
at church digging through her purse trying to find her checkbook before the basket comes around to her. So
No,
he's-
I think more likely it's while the basket's in the lap he's taking.
yeah. He's just-
Thordane is actually very curious about this because he speaks the language, so he's peeping over someone's shoulder to like look and see what's going on there since he's standing over.
Yeah, there are a few people, definitely some of the younger people in the congregation. They do have the Guardian Historia for them, but there are quite a few people that seem to be reciting this from memory as well. This is actually quite impressive, and it actually very much so to you, Luxalia, as one of the things in your specific culture, Luxalia, is this is actually a kind of a good lore dump moment for the Silverwood Glyven.
Hit us.
So the Glyven of the Silverwood, they way back in the days when they were from their continent in Nerun, the Silverwood were basically the Glyven of the Silverwood. They were the main clan that was in charge of the faith. Basically, they're like pagan faith that they were, and so they're the priestesses and everything that would come from that. They would basically lead and be the center of worship for the Glyven of Nerun. However, when they were taken over the continent by the High Elves of Rasukal, they were given home basically in the Silverwood. But with that, they began to learn about the faith of Alamnia. Not necessarily the Order of Amandalius, but the faith of Alamnia from the Wood Elves that were there. And so with that, many of their traditions, while they still look and feel relatively Glyven, they have been reordered from pagan worship to the worship of Alamnia. And so there is kind of this tension between the Glyven that are in the Silverwood, of one of which is trying to stick to their traditional pagan worship, and another sect that has broken off that has essentially tried to basically use this new truth and to spread it to the rest of the Goliath, but in a fashion that would be more appealing to them. And so they're almost kind of like a missionary work for that. Luxale, you and your order, the Amaterasu order, is a dedication to that. And so your typical Glyven practice isn't like this, where you gather and you sit in temple. It's more out in the natural world, but it is like you do create altars, you do sacrifices, and also you do recite the scripture of Alomnia, but you do it in the Alomnic speech for that. And so that's kind of like the purpose of kind of what you're doing and whatnot. However, because of that, this does feel a little alien to you as far as like this kind of like stoic traditional practice, as it were, if that makes sense.
I like it.
Sweet.
I like it. That's why I can't focus.
Yeah, and the crying babies.
And the
in
babies.
that.
This reading goes on for a solid 40 to 50 minutes of just straight scripture reading, and everybody is there. There are brief moments of intermission where there is some silence and reflection, and towards the end of it, a high priest, he closes the book of scriptures, and he looks out to all of you, and he says, hopefully this time of prayer has been good for each and every one of you. We do know that I do know, as well as I'm sure the lot of you, that there is a growing darkness in this world. We can even see it beneath our very eyes, our very noses here in our humble town of Folden Rock. He pauses for a moment and he looks to all of you, and he gives a deep, almost kind of a sigh of relief, and a smile comes upon his face, and he says, even in these dark times, we must remember the light. The longer we dwell in darkness, the more we become creatures of darkness. It is as the scripture says, to open their eyes so that they may turn from darkness to light, and from the power of Malvish to Alomnia, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified in faith with the coming of the Savior. And he looks down to the floor, and he looks to his own hands, and he says, these hands of mine, the gifts that I have been given, my vow that I have taken, isn't one to rule and lord myself over all of you. I am a simple person. I am part of the free peoples of Everlast. It is my job to be able to lead you to such a light. But at such a point, in a world of growing dark, we draw closer to the coming of a promised king. A king to rule over all of the free peoples. In our time of greatest strife, Alomnia will send his son, the Prince of Flames and purifying light, to lead his people to victory over the darkness of the world. And when he comes in his terrible beauty and overwhelming power, he will draw all of Alomnia's faithful close to him in the light. It is foretold, but you, Asphodel, people of the shining sun, though you are small among the peoples of Ephatha, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Everlast, whose origins are from ancient times, and he will rend your enemies and scatter the darkness from the land, driving back the creatures of the night to the festering pits from which they were born. Your hearts may be burdened, and he looks very specifically into the eyes of Zil, who is up at the front, who seems to be really focused and paying attention. Your hearts might be burdened, and your brothers may stray from the path. But remember, as long as you remain in the light, Alomnia's grace will work through you, and by the power of mana in his spirit, those lost will be drawn back to him in the works of mana through you, his faithful vessels here in the world. But to those who have strayed, and he breaks your contact, Zil, and he looks to the rest of the congregation again. But to those who have strayed, to those who dwell in darkness, you must repent. Offer a sacrifice to our Lord. One that is more than simple flesh, but one of repentance and change. Who among you wishes to bring forth a sacrifice to Alomnia in atonement for your sins and the sins of the free peoples of Everlast? And with that, the way that he says this is it's more of a kind of like open question, as not supposed to like raise your hand if you want a sacrifice. But he continues on. He says, at 3 p.m. today, we will offer a sacrifice right here on our altar. Come back with the gifts. Come back with the sacrifice. And we will all pray together and give thanks to our Lord, Alumnia. And with that, our service is ended. You may go as you will. May the blessing of Alumnia be with all of you.
And with your spirit.
And with your spirit.
And with that, there's still some quiet contemplation, but after about a couple of minutes, some people begin to gather their things and begin to talk to each other, kind of greet, but mostly leave. You can tell that this sanctuary is a reverent place, not a place where there's idle chatter or anything of the such. But what are the rest of you doing?
Belvin, does Belvin have any feel for what kind of sacrifice people would be bringing? Is it like the the animals from the pen out front, or is it?
I'm gonna have
Any
you
feel?
make a
It's like a
knowledge skill check for me, Belbin, and this could be
Okay.
this could be at +1.
Okay. That'd be a 9.
9. One of the things that really that from what he had just said that really sits in your mind is this idea of offer a sacrifice to our Lord, one more than just simple flesh. This could be something deep within. However, along with that, it needs to be something living. A living sacrifice, essentially.
Okay.
Think of like Judaism, like Old Testament Judaism, like that.
Sure.
What about everybody else? What's going on with you guys?
Is there?
Yuki's gonna Lloyd. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask. Is
ahead.
there like in ancient Judaism? There's kind of like a lowest level sacrifice, higher level sacrifice.
There is, and you would know such things, Luxalia. This is like basically like your training has been pretty much in this kind of stuff.
So like, what would be like a middle level / one that maybe we could offer for the whole group here?
So everything that needs to be sacrificed needs to be unblemished, and so you can't just go grab I guess there's no crows. I was gonna say a crow from the streets and offer it for sacrifice, but something that would be kind of lower level would be something like poultry or like birds or things like that. A mid-level sacrifice would probably be something like a goat, maybe. And definitely like large livestock, like something that has been like bred to be like a perfect sacrifice. That's going to be like the highest level probably.
Cool.
So
Okay.
something you could go purchase
Yuki's
something. Most people probably purchase stuff from there's a farm district that is kind of in the north part of the city here that you can attempt to go find livestock to purchase for such a purpose. Or anywhere else, but if you do wish to do a sacrifice, that might be your best place to look.
Noted.
Yuki's gonna stay in the pew a little bit longer and kind of reflect on that since it's been a while. She's gonna think about her adventure thus far and the path in which she feels Alomni has taken. She's gonna give thanks for the fact that she survived this long, and then she's going to think about and pray about her comrades as well, and spend some time reflecting on each person, reflecting on the instances in which they've grown from what she's seen, the instances in which they still need to grow and which are still difficult with them. She's going to spend a lot of time on Belbin with that. But she's going to she's just gonna spend a little bit of time there since it's been a while since she's actually sat down and reflected on such things, so she'll loiter back a little bit.
I'm going to have everybody make a faith survival check. Belbin, yours is going to be at despair.
faith survival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a while.
9.
You know what?
So
We're gonna.
15 for Thordain.
I'm using the blessing. Ooh, that was a good use of a blessing. 20.
Wow.
Unnatural 16.
My first roll was
18 for
11.
Yuki.
18. So 18. What was Thordain's?
Thordain's was a 15.
Okay. Luxalia, yours was 16, 20, and then Belbin was an 8.
9.
9.
So Belbin, you
pretty good
can
for
remove
despair.
1 point of shadow, 1 point of
Oh.
Misery.
misery.
Misery, so much greater than yours.
I'm so glad I used my blessing.
Everyone between 10 and 12 can remove 2. Anyone between 13 to 16 can remove 3, and everybody above that can remove 4.
Let's go.
So what happens
was-
if I'm now in virtue?
You are virtuous now.
Do I add
Oh,
3
what do I?
points of virtue?
Yeah, so basically, if you remove points of mercury, like if you go into virtue, you gain points of virtue. So it's basically you're reducing and then you start gaining in the virtue category.
Nice.
That was such a good use of my blessing. Zilla's in it.
Confused how that looks on the sheet.
That's good, Belbin. Good for you.
Are we
One
counting?
How many
point
points of
bad.
misery do you have?
Yeah, basically, like you
don't
count
have
up
5.
in virtue, and so you can only be capped out at
In-
like a
in
certain amount of virtue. But basically, when you are like reduce your virtue to 0 on the sheet, then it goes down to neutral, and then you start gaining points of neutral misery there, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And with that, actually, Brother Julian, he makes his way over to the front with the Zill, and he sees you with your eyes closed. At this point, everybody around you specifically has left, and he leans down to you and he's like, "Pardon, Brother Zill, but you said that you had something to talk to me about."
Yes. Is the high priest available too?
I did speak with him. He has but a few moments before
Okay.
he can do so. Is it just us, or do you have your companions as well that want to discuss?
I mean, the companions are welcome. They already know what I'm about to share, but they're not necessary to this conversation.
We will be, and he basically points to a open hallway. It's not really a closed door. There's a curtain that's out in front. He's like, "This is the vesting. This is the vesting sanctuary. If you want to join us there anytime soon, we will
He
be
just
both of us will be
follows
free
them
to
in.
discuss." Okay. Is anyone else joining? This is loud enough. There's
Yeah,
like
you can
nobody
follow her
here.
out.
Like it was kind of
Yeah.
quiet. If you do follow, you can do so.
Luxalia will join.
Belvin will too.
As the ladies
Everyone
stand up and they begin to walk forward, there is, like I said, there's like a divide between the two, the male section and the female section. Lady Eloise, she says to the ladies, she says, "Please wash your hands before you cross the threshold." And she holds out a bowl, and she asks you to basically wash hands before you do cross over.
I do so.
You are free to cross over. And she steps aside and allows you to go and follow in, including Princess Mila, who's doing the same. Princess Mila, one thing that you will notice is Princess Mila seems to know exactly what's going on here, like to a T. Like this is something that it's pretty likely she's either practiced or has been trained in so. She was completely engaged during the entirety of the celebration. So, all right. But you make your way up to the front and you walk through the curtain threshold. And it's a small room, probably can fit about 12 people maximum. But you can see that the high priest has changed into regal robes, but less regal. And Brother Julian has taken off his tabard and is in just his plain brown, the same that Lady Eloise is in. But they said, "Welcome, visitors. if there's anything that you have to say to us, this is High Priest Godfrey. He is more than happy to be able to listen to any requests or anything of the sort, any news from afar.
Thank you for taking some time, High Priest and brother.
It is
We-
not a stress or worry at all. Our ears are all yours to be able to be used to your disposal.
How familiar are you with the probably some of the more lesser known dealings of your order?
Depends. What are your implications?
Are you familiar with the Earth Pillar?
Of course, we all are. The elemental pillars are very sacred, holy sites. Actually, many of our people, many of our faithful, go on pilgrimage to these holy sites. And as such, yes, of course we are familiar. We actually are the keepers of the Earth Pillar.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Ah,
We
have you made venture out there?
We have. And it pains me to say that as of right now, you are no longer the keepers of the Earth Pillar.
Make an influence skill check for me.
Good at that though. So
Ugh, 10.
not how I would have put it, but nice.
He blinks and he says, "I'm confused."
We made our way there and we've delicacies are out the window at this point. We've been on some quests, and along the way we fought several archdemons and their lackeys.
The High Priest, Godfrey, he says, "Perhaps you should have a seat. Brother Julian, if you would go grab some cushions from out in the main sanctuary, it seems we have much to discuss." And he
Yes.
says, "These are very serious claims that you've made here. Not that I don't believe you. Don't mistake me, but you said you've had encounter with evil, voiding creatures. What are you, some kind of adventurers?"
Yes. And, this is something I oft use as a display of grandeur, but this takes on a much different tone right now. This cape I wear is from Burbledown. We've defeated one. And our current quest is for Lolothi. Which is...
As this is going on, Yuki's digging through her gloof bag for, oh gosh, what was that thing called? The Guardian Scroll. The Guardian Scroll, and like finding it, as well as the Earth Key.
And so our adventures to defeat Lolothi took us to the Earth Pillar because one of her lackeys beat us there. And that's what I mean by you are no longer currently the keepers of the Earth Pillar. For that lackey, it was a golem of some kind, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an elemental.
Elemental.
Mhm.
That
Or-
elemental, unfortunately, was too powerful for your order. They were wiped out. Or they escaped, I don't know. I just know they weren't there when we got there. And when we returned a second time, because some goblins moved in as well, they were still not there. Thankfully, it is not unprotected. Depending on how you feel of its current guardian, Smoldrin, the son of Nazrahim, has moved in to keep the pillar safe. But I don't know if there was able to get word out that the order there has perished.
As you're speaking, he stares at you and he fixes like very concretely his gaze on Yuzil. and taking it all in, but there's definitely kind of this look of just shock that this is a lot of information that he is taking in all at once.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of
Yuki
bad
pipe-
news, but I hope you guys
Yuki
can know.
pipes in.
You need it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yuki.
Yeah, Yuki pipes in and says, as of that moment that we found the Earth Pillar unguarded, we actually met with already 2 of the leaders of the other cities. So we met with King Nalgora Kragheim of the Gold Draken in Flomberge, and we also met with and then gestures over to Princess Mila, King oh gosh, what's his name?
King
Farron?
King Farrand of the Feshen Fae, and there's a meeting of the keys that needs to happen, meaning we're looking for the leader of the Sky Pillar, which brings us here. We heard that he was here on this island.
He sighs, and he looks at specifically the key and the guardian scroll that have been presented to him, and he looks at them and he says, "This is dark news indeed. Of course, the chief high priest needs to know about this in Hightower, and we will send word of the unfortunate situation. But to you, seems like all of you have been through quite a bit, and
You could say that again.
and I would be questioning if this key, that which has been entrusted to the Order of Amandalius, should belong in your grasp. But," and he turns to the Guardian Scroll and he says, "What can you tell me about this?"
So this was given to us when we were in Shiloh by a man, a scholar named Eska, out there, and we were given orders to help free the world of these darkening times. That includes all of the evil workings here. As Zil had mentioned, we had already defeated one, Burbldow, the Harpy Archdemon, and now we're currently looking for Lolothi. Even on Aishan Island, we found one of his minions wreaking havoc there, and we brought him to justice. But we still not have. Well, we haven't fought Lolothi, and we've encountered one in the Subterran, Brogrodesh, down in the Subterran, and we were lucky enough to survive that encounter. And so we were entrusted with Eska to help bring justice to these evildoers and the minions and followers of Malvish. I don't remember. Does it show if you open it what archdemons?
So you
we've already
can't. So the
killed
thing
and
about the
whatnot?
scrolls, it's like a metal encased, and it has basically jewels on it that are all basically different colors and glowing. One of the jewels has lost its luster, as you have slayed Burbldow. So each of the archdemons are tied to a different jewel, and so once they are slayed, basically the gist from what you're able to get to it is basically they lose their luster to a point where you're able to actually open it, and actually read or gain whatever benefit from what's inside.
And that's what she explains. So she's like, since we've already slain Burbldow, we have this many more, and she shows the glowing gems until we're able to actually access what's inside this scroll itself.
He ponders for a moment. I'm gonna have Yuki. I'm going to have you make a influence skill check for me.
Her influence is pretty good. Let's see. Okay. That's a 14.
He asks, he's like, "May I?" as he reaches out for the Guardian Scroll specifically.
Can I mean, just Yuki being Yuki, can she make a sort of like a
Like an insight check.
see if he's trustworthy kind of guy?
Make a wisdom skill
Yeah,
check.
or something. It's a 6.
6. From what
So,
you've
assuming
garnered
yes.
so far, you have no reason not to trust him. He doesn't seem to
Okay.
be abrasive or aggressive or particularly upset with the news that has been like I mean, he's upset with hearing that like many of his order have died, but as far as like you having these items, he doesn't seem like, what are you doing? Why do you have these things? Like it doesn't, that's not the
He's not Batman.
he's not Batman.
Yeah. Okay, so she'll hand him over, but keep a very close eye on him.
Okay. He doesn't take the key. In fact, he actually leaves that. But he does take the scroll in his hands as he examines this, and he's like, by the grace of Alomnia, it has been found. And he looks to you, and he says, I want you to understand one thing. What you have here in your possession is an ancient relic, perhaps one of the holiest of all of the Order of Amandalius. And he examines it further and runs his hand over the gems, and he stops on the one that is no longer glowing, and he says, not many know the creation of this and the divine hands that wrote from within. But it is said for those to be able to look upon the text that lies within this scroll, you must be chosen. And he sees all of you. You're no mere adventurers, are you?
Well, I mean, we were given the name Eclaas Eeas when we were given this scroll, so if that has any significance or anything.
Messengers of Alomnia. I want to believe your story. You've given me no reason not to. You've come bearing your hearts out in honesty, and particularly he motions over to the key. A lesser people, a lesser group would have just taken this and the power that lies within the holders of this for themselves. But this, and he looks at the Guardian Scroll. This is a treasure that has been lost to history since the Second Age. Back when the Order of Amandalius had many dealings with the wars that were going on in Eldornia, there was a great war, and this, one of the prime relics of our people, was lost to history. The fact that it's been recovered after so long, finding it in Shiloh, the simplest of all places, and has made its way into your hands, it means there's something special about each and every one of you. What do you know about Alomnia and the Serac?
I know a lot, probably.
Probably. To a degree. So, like, one of the things, like, Luxalia is, of course, like, something you would know about the Serac is specifically their influence on kind of, like, in the creation of the world. Like, they are the primary beings of creation by Alomnia, that their sole purpose and their sole goal is to serve them. Essentially, Malvish...
Kind of like angels.
Yeah, like the angels, but, like, specifically, like, seraphim angels.
Yeah.
So like they are like the closest to Alomnia, and Malvish was basically in his pride. Again, it's the Christian story. He had fallen from grace and all of that. So that would be something that you would know of the Serac. But beyond that, you probably don't know much more to it.
Okay.
There's
I convey what I know.
Okay, perfect. And as you do so, he says, "Ah, a scholar are you? Quite learned indeed."
Thanks. You're too kind. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say a scholar, but a shrine maiden at your service.
I've heard of your people. Missionaries from the Silverwood. Is that correct?
More or less, yes.
And how goes your work in the woodland realm amongst your people?
Good question. I haven't been back. How long has it been? Like a year or something? How long have we been on this adventure?
From start to finish of this adventure, it's probably been a total of, you're coming on to 2-ish years, maybe 3. You're like coming on to your 3rd year probably, so 2.5-ish.
I have been on this, let's say, adventure for 2 or 3 years now, and haven't completely lost contact, but also have not been with my fellow shrine maidens in a while. So I hope they're doing well, but I cannot confirm.
Nobody knows the fate that Alomnia has planned for each and every one of us. The fact that you have fallen in with a group such as this, I'm sure they can benefit from your knowledge and skill with mana.
I try to glorify Alomnia with it and keep people alive.
Mana exists in each and every one of us, and those with the power to wield it, they are granted specific gifts. I don't know if you know this. Mana is Alomnia. Mana is the way he interacts with each and every one of us. We can either choose to wield it for good, or by taking it upon ourselves and turning it to our own devices, we create a abomination of it. And that is the power of magic, the power of Malvish.
Makes sense.
But the Serac, they're very powerful creatures. Creatures not of body, but of divine spirit. At the beginning of all time, so legend has it, when the first wars were fought, the Serac were forbidden to intercede, at least physically, in the world of Everlast. But Alomnia granted each of them the power to be able to bestow gifts on people that Alomnia deemed worthy. Gifts that would give them the ability to wield the spirit, mana, as long as their purpose drives them. If they are led into darkness and led astray, the powers will fail. They will elude them. You have taken down a demon. That is no small feat. No normal individuals can do such a thing. Even the greatest, most valiant heroes in all of Everlast could never hope to do such a thing. Which leads me to believe that each of you, in turn, have been chosen. You're not just mere adventurers, but you are champions. And thus, and he takes the Guardian Scroll and he gives it back to you. This is yours to keep. This will not be the information of the discovery of this. I will not send to the Chief High Priest back in Hightower. Do not be flashing this For there are those with eyes. There are those who can see that by having this, they will do by you having this, they will do everything in their power to be able to thwart you in your quest to bring peace. But do know this, that even with your powers, even though you have been chosen, you must understand that this power is not yours alone, but the power of Alumnia. As I had mentioned in my sermon, there will be a new king, and you merely are his servants, taking part in readying the path for him. He will lead us all out of the darkness and into the light. The task that you have been given is not one of just mere bounty. It is one of the utmost importance. The fate of all of Everlast lies in your hands. But do know this, you're not in it alone. Rely on the people around you. There are many, many good in the free peoples of Everlast. And each and every one of us will have a part to play in the days to come, in the years to come, in the destiny of what is to happen to Everlast. As we wait in joyful hope for our prince, our rightful king.
I believe.
Also, I know that we kind of got off track and sidetracked. I think it maybe be at least until our journey's done. Do you mind if we hold on to the Earth Pillar key until we unite them? And then obviously we can return it to the rightful owners. Maybe that's one thing you can report back to Hightower, is sending some reinforcements or some survivors back down at least to Aishin, to Takai
Terabay.
Town.
Terabay
That's
Island.
where to Terabay Island, but to at least to Takai Town until the coast is clear and Smoldran can leave and they can reclaim it, because I mean Smoldran's a dragon. I mean Zil got along with him perfectly fine, but
He was
it
great.
just makes me nervous sending a bunch of random people to a dragon's lair. So at least until Smoldran leaves, and then you can retake your place as the holders of the Earth key and the protectors of the pillar.
Indeed. I'm tempted to let you continue on with your task, as again, this has been fate that has brought this key into your hands. The fact that, again, you have not taken it for yourself, you have been honest, and you have presented it to me as let's just say, as a sign of good faith. I will allow fate to be able to determine the destiny of this key. But yes, I will make sure that word is sent out, and we will have, let's just say, emissaries, diplomats, keepers, that when your task is done, will be able to take their spot up at our ordained place of being protectors of the Earth Pillar. And Smoldran, let's just hope that his greed and his lust for power does not take over, and he allows us to be able to retake our rightful place. Dragons are ruled by greed and a lust for power. Doesn't mean that they're intrinsically evil, but being in one of the holy sacred spots where mana itself is abundant, it has a way of it's taken its hold on the hearts of lesser creatures. I just wish you
Keep that in mind.
I'll just wish you a swift completion of your task, whatever it may be.
I appreciate it. And speaking of which, we have one more word of business here on this island, actually. So, as we had mentioned, we're looking for the holder of the Sky Pillar. And we last heard that he was spotted here. Would you happen to know anything about that?
I have felt a growing power as of late, but also a growing dark.
We've experienced that, for sure.
As far as where Aldreg Monteblair is, nobody has come to me with any kind of whereabouts. That's not something that, well, the Order of Amandalius needs to worry about. But now that it has been brought to our attention, we will keep our eyes out.
And how close are you with the masters of this island?
We are but humble servants of Alomnia. The master of this island, the Harrogate, they're not as faithful as we would like them to be, which is why we pray every day for them and the conversion of the people here of Folden Rock.
Are they good people, though? Just lost?
They're good enough. I think they tend to put more of an emphasis on the things of this world as opposed to the things that are eternal. They seem to want to do what's good for the island and its people, but by focusing completely on that, they don't focus on their souls. They are good masters, but they are busy, for lack of a better term.
It would be really convenient if we could meet with them. However, every time we ask on where to meet them, we are always turned with, "They'll find you," in quotations. Which I guess that's encouraging. I don't know necessarily, but I mean, we've in the lower town. There's a lot of darkness that's going on down there that we've experienced, and some people that are pretty high up that we've noticed who seem to be running things, whether or not they're known. The pretty public figures who are known but have a kind of a secret back life, and that's actually what we're going to investigate tonight. But in the meantime, we will see you at the sacrifice that's happening a little bit later on.
Well, do be careful. But most importantly, for their sakes, pray for their conversion of their hearts and their souls. Alomnia will take care from there.
We appreciate it.
Hey guys, I gotta head out, but before we go, do we want to, or I guess as I leave, did we want to talk about like the incense and the connection with
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's good. Belbin.
Hey, hi,
Fun
priest.
sesh? Love you guys. I'll see you.
Michael.
Next
Good
time.
night, man.
Bye.
Nickel. Hey, hi, priest.
Yes. What can I do for
Smell these.
you? He looks... after the serious conversation, he like kind of like... I'm going to have you make an influence skill
It's
check
okay,
for
you could-
me.
It's all Belvin
Yuki's
needs to
like,
say.
Belbin.
Oh no.
You have inspiration, don't you?
Yeah, I have a
use?
A
blessing. Do I
blessing.
want to use it on this though?
Use them. Yes, we get them
Do
so
it, you won't.
frequently. You might-
All right, all right. It was a 2. Let's see what it'll be. Oh, it's a 2 again. All right.
Oh my!
5. Influence of 5.
He kind of like juts back, and actually at that case, Brother Julian comes in and he puts your hand down, and he's just like, a little bit of reverence, please.
Well,
High Priest, could
we
you
apologize
smell
for him.
my fingers and tell me if it smells familiar?
The high priest Godfrey, he says, "What is the meaning of this?"
We just
It's
thought that we got the smell and we thought that this temple might be able to tell us where the smell came from. Just to help our mission.
Brother Julian says, "High priest Godfrey, I will do so in your place." And he goes, he lets a big sniff, and then he's like, "I think it'll be better a second time." And he goes, "Yes, this is very much the brand of incense that we do use here, specifically from soot and ash."
Oh,
Why do you have incense on your fingers?
well, we thought it might have been a lead. How much of a confession do you want here? I broke
Be
into
truthful, Belvin.
I broke into through a window to a very bad man's room, and he had this scent in the room, and we thought it might be something. So instead of asking him, we thought we'd come and talk to you.
Well, this does seem to be exactly, and he actually goes back into one of the back covers, and he pulls out basically a bowl of ground incense, kind of like incense, and he he takes your hand, he smells it, and he smells the incense, and he says, "This is exactly what. This is the brand of soot and ash. In fact, I was actually planning on going there a little bit later this evening in order to restock our supply of this."
Belbin, do you have the book of ledgers?
I do. You want me to?
He does
show you-
not. You never actually went back and got it. You
Oh.
rolled on it and you decided to leave it.
Oh shoot, you're right.
However, Belbin, maybe you have some information you can tell them about soot and ash.
Yeah, it was. Gosh, it was a while ago. Oh, I should have listened to the last episode. It was.
Okay,
Yeah, you can help me out. There
I
were.
can help you.
What
so
I
it's
read in the
ledgers of
So
of like sales
you
and
read
whatnot.
you read the ledgers. Essentially, what
Mhm.
was part of those ledgers were a couple nefarious things. Most of it was candle sales, essentially, like candles and like incense and that kind of stuff. However, there were two nefarious things. Do you remember what those were, or different things? One of them seemed pretty nefarious.
I don't.
One of
When I
them
remember-
was a poisoned dagger,
Yes.
and the other one was a jar of ooze.
Ah, the ooze. Yes.
What did you want to tell him about the ledgers? Just that? He had a ledger
Yeah.
with some weird things on it?
Yeah, just I guess I read the ledgers, and most of it sounded legit, except there was this poison dagger and ooze, and we didn't know what to make of the ooze.
High Priest Godfrey, he says, interesting. Usually, Soot and Ash deals primarily in the selling of candles, incense, anything that can be used to, well, with wax and wick to be able to be lit. I would find some of those more odd trinkets to be sold in the Cinder Street markets. That is concerning that they would be in a ledger book of Soot and Ash, per se.
Well, Zill, I also think maybe you have some news that connects this potentially as well from what you discovered this morning.
I don't know how directly it connects it, but we know there's a meeting tonight at the Foggy Bay with a man named Rickett. And
It's a curious
this
name.
was arranged by someone I've never met, but my friends have recognized as Agnes Balthazar.
Vavuzar.
Right? Vavuzar. I wrote that down wrong.
Ah,
It's all good.
Agnes,
Fantasy
yes, the market queen of Cinder Street. What does her
And
business dealings have to do with Soot and Ash?
I don't know.
Well, from what
Um,
Zill told us and based off of our interactions, she definitely did seem to run the things when we had previously met her, Luxaliai and Lady Mila. However, it seems like she's also dealing in the shadows as well. Based
It
off
was
of
definitely
this.
a sketchy meeting for sure.
Well, if that's the case...
Wondering if maybe...
Go ahead. Well,
I'm just wondering if maybe Soot and Ash Candles is a front for something, potentially.
they've been nothing but good to us as far as their service goes, but perhaps we can inquire more about some of their other services. Unfortunately, I don't think they would be keen to speaking to myself or Brother Julian about such a front, if they do have so. I would like to see more proof before we blame them, especially since they're the only candle maker in town and it's necessary for our sacrifices we will be having this afternoon.
Based off of what we hear, and after tonight's meeting, which you'll be investigating, we'd be happy to report the findings to, obviously, the church, but also, I guess, just be careful, because it seems like a lot of these, the shadow that you speak of here at Folden Rock is intermingled in a lot more than just the shadows. It seems like it's in the mainstream.
Well, as is the nature
So
of
just be
people,
careful about that.
they seek things that they do not quite understand. They dabble in things that they think will bring them more worldly pleasure. Which is why, again, we must pray for each and every one of them. We must do what we can to change their hearts by our own actions. We must seek justice where it's due, but also we must have mercy when it's owed.
That is true. It's good to keep in mind.
If there's anything else...
We're just wondering if you had any information.
Any what?
Well, you gave us the information that we were seeking regarding the incense, so we appreciate it and the help that you gave us.
He says, well, if there's nothing else to be discussed, I will be seeing you at 3. And if not, I'm sure I will be seeing you around town.
Yuki
Would you
bows
have
as she leaves.
What was that, Max?
would you have one more moment for a personal matter?
Of course, I have about 10-15 more minutes that I can spare.
Okay.
Yuki turns to Zill. Do you need us here for this, Zill, or is this rather something you want confidential?
I mean, it's about something y'all already know, but you don't need to be here for it. It's just the
Well, Luxali and I will
what makes me
we'll go get a
effective.
sacrifice.
It's about what makes me effective.
I see it. I like it. Well, Luxali and I will go buy the sacrifice, so enjoy.
Good.
And we leave.
Belbin and Thordane, what are they going to be doing?
Belbin, you decide for Thordane.
Yeah.
That's on you, buddy.
Can we go stake out where we'll be tonight.
Yeah, Foggy Bay.
Foggy Bay. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And with that, we're going to take a quick bio break. We will be back for probably the last 45 minutes of today's session very soon. But we're going to go ahead and do that. If you guys will mute yourselves, get some water, hydrate everybody, do your thing, and I'll see you back here in a couple minutes. All right, so we are back with a couple of our players, but we are going to go ahead and I guess we can start with Belbin and Thordane as far as what they're doing, and then we'll kind of go in order. Then we'll go to Yuki and Luxalia, and then we'll finish with Zill's thing. Hey, if that sounds all good to you.
Cool.
Yeah, that works.
Sounds great. I'll be Thordane. Don't worry, Belbin. You're not alone.
Perfect.
Sweet.
All right, so as Zill remains back, the rest of the party, you do leave, and as you do exit into Hightown, you do notice that the pen is more. There's probably about 5 or 6 different creatures that are there. So there's some chickens in cages, like that kind of stuff, and you begin to split ways. Yuki, yes.
Before they part ways, Thordane's gonna be like, "As your captain, I can't leave you going empty-handed," and hands over an EP to them so that they can use.
Yuki and just the money bags. Yuki and Luxalia, you begin to depart kind of towards the Aurum Exchange. based on the map that you guys have seen, there is a checkpoint that allows you to go into the farm district. And then Belbin and Thordane, you make your way back through the streets. You have the familiar streets down into the. So we'll do this. Zill is going to be here, and then Belbin and Thordane, you start making your way down to Foggy Bay. I'm gonna have Belbin as you and Thordane, so the two of you, as you're walking, I'm gonna have you make a wisdom skill checks for me.
Okay. Ooh, finally a good roll. Let's see.
8 for Thordane.
18 for Belbin.
So as you walk along, you both take in just the general ambiance. It is a Friday. You can tell that there are many people, and you can see that there are quite a few ships in dock. As the way that the general layout of Holden Rock is it's kind of at its lowest point here, and then it kind of tears up as it goes up in kind of like the mountain that this city is. So you can see that there are, like, pretty much every ship is, like, every dock spot has been filled by a ship, and the markets and everything are crazy. You walk by Cinder Streets, and this doesn't even compare to how it was yesterday. But you begin to make your way past that as you wander down and meander to the kind of southern point by the checkpoint. And you know that Foggy Bay is here in the general direction. However, Belbin, you do notice that the way that the bay is separated is it's pretty fortified in a couple of spots. So you make your way down to kind of the main gate, and you can see that there is a piece of gate that stretches all the way until kind of this southern point here. And it's a wall that extends about 15 feet high, and you can see that there are some guards that walk back and forth to and fro from here. But as you continue down the main way, you can see that there is no longer a wall that encompasses this part, and there is a cliff. However, there is probably a 6-foot like wooden facade fence that has been put up there. We could do some investigation of that if you wish to do so. But I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. How many guards are on top of that wall?
So there's
The
2
15-foot
guards.
wall.
There's 2 guards, and they do cross back and forth, and so they're kind of like walking kind of like in this manner.
Okay.
You
Is
haven't
it-
been there long enough to see any kind of changing of the guard or anything like that, but the way that the wall and everything is set up is it continues here. It actually has kind of this walkway that goes over the gate, and then it continues all the way down and essentially around the various parts where there's walls on the island. So basically it stretches here and then all the way up here, and then basically here, and then here, and down and around here. There is no gates or anything that are on this part of the island because it's pretty much guarded by sheer rock faces of like mountains. So
Can Thordane explore this side of it while Belbin,
yeah, sure.
I guess, looks over there?
And is it obvious that the guards are just there? Like, it's just their normal rounds. They're not like protecting anything in particular. It's just part of like general island security.
Yeah, general island security. One of the things that you've realized is Lowtown being Lowtown, it's still not super crime ridden, but there's always eyes. There's always like kind of like the higher look of eyes from it. And so this is probably going to be your highest point in all of Lowtown, with the exception of a tower that rises basically from the center of it, where you can see that there are some guards that are on duty there. But Belbin, I'm going to have you make a focus check, and Thordane, I'm going to have you make a focus check.
Golly, I have to roll that. Focus 8.
8. We'll start with you. As you wander around and you see this fence, you can see that it's decently well kept, but it does look, there are certain panels of it that look to be a little bit worn. Perhaps it's just by the salty air and the breeze, but you can't really see from this angle anything into the bay. However, one thing does capture your attention. At the very south end of the town, as you continue to examine, you see that there is a lighthouse a lighthouse that extends basically on this very southern part, and it looks like it looks down directly into Foggy Bay.
Okay. How hidden is this?
It is not hidden at
From,
all.
like,
Like,
the-
you can see
Okay.
this lighthouse, like, basically as a spire that's up. It's supposed to serve as anyone who's coming from the southern place to be able to find their way into the island. But as far as stairs to get to this place, that is something that is quite possibly hidden. And so I'm going to have you make a wisdom skill check for me.
Thordain rolled a 14, by the way.
Okay.
9.
So with that 9, you look back and forth along like the near part of this, but you're unable to find any ladders, stairs, or anything. You can see that you probably, with your skills specifically, could scurry your way up the side of the cliff in order to get to the lighthouse. But there's got to be stairs somewhere because it's manned by someone.
Can I jump the fence?
Yes. Are you
To
doing
see-
this stealthily?
I am trying to, and I'm gonna try to time it to where neither of the two guards are hopefully looking my direction.
Okay, I'm going to have you first make a focus skill check for me, and it's going to be followed up by a stealth check.
Okay. Focus is 12.
12. You are able to do so. Nobody is currently looking at you. Fortunately, this part of town, there's not a lot here, so there isn't a lot of traffic that comes through this area. It definitely is more intermingled throughout the center of Lowtown, but you are able to find a chance to be able to do this, so I'm going to have you make your stealth check.
Okay. Stealth check was a non-natural 16.
Okay. You climb up, and that's no problem. Like, you just whoosh right up and over on the top. But as you begin to potentially descend down, you look down to a sheer cliff that goes into a bay. It's probably at this point around 10, 11 a.m. in the morning. And even now in this bay, you can't see the water. You just see that it is covered in fog. However, you do also see that there is kind of a small little portcullis that makes its way out at the front, meaning any ship can't just come in here. There has to be access somehow, and there's a small little basically a wall that stretches into the side of the cliff and beyond. With that, we're going to go ahead and move over to Thordain. So Thordain, with your check, one of the things that you notice is down here in the port district, it's almost as if it's kind of like greenery that's been used for just walking. And so you encounter a decent number of people here at this part of the day as people, mostly couples, are strolling around through kind of the gardens of the port district. They're very well manicured and maintained, and you, Thordain, also notice that there are guards as well. However, instead of just the 2 guards that are kind of going back and forth here, there looks to be about 4 or 5 guards, and they pass each other at points probably every 2 or 3 minutes as they walk up and down. And so there's only like bits and times. Like if you were to attempt to climb and try to get over to the other side, chances are you would have about a 3-minute time frame to do it without being spotted. But yeah, it looks quite
Thordain-
impressive.
Okay. Thordain wants to look for like any potential entryways from not necessarily the public, but like any doors in which the guards can get up top or anything. Not like go through any of them, but he's just trying to look for like any entryways into this port area.
Make a wisdom skill check for me. And while you're doing that, Belbin, as you climb up on top of this fence, you can tell that the specific part that you are, which is about like a few paces up from the cliff where the light tower is, you can see that it is somewhat rotting away. The attachment to the cliff isn't actually bound securely. And with a good amount of
what is this, the fence or is this
the fence, and with a good amount of strength, you probably could break it and or maneuver enough to be able to squeeze through. this is a potential way to get down into the bay. However, by doing so, it's just a sheer drop at the end of it. But everything that's down below here, you're unable to see. However, as you gaze kind of more northwards, you see that there is a pasture of greenery. This looks to be kind of some kind of no man's land, as if there is, you have no idea what's going on there. There's nothing there. It's just basically unmanicured grass, but it's like this strange little cutout in the, basically the cliff that you're able to see. And so if you were able to somehow get over the wall and down into this area, you would have sure footing to be able to climb down into the bay by whatever means. Other than that, you would basically just be falling into basically the mist of how it's gathering. So
Okay. Is there any way I could kind of scale with the fence along the way to where the...
I would say so. You can either make a dexterity check for me or a strength check to do so.
Okay, let's see. Dexterity or strength. Let's do strength. So that'd be a 13.
Yeah, you're able to do so easily. There's enough kind of, because the way that the fence is built is it's flush on the side that's facing inwards, but you can see the timbers, the cross timbers are on the side, and so it's actually pretty easy to scale and cross. By the time you shimmy your way over to this side, there's a small little tower that blocks your way, and it would probably be about a 10-foot jump from the position that you're at onto the land on the other side.
I'm game to try that.
All right, first I'm going to have you make a stealth check for me.
13.
13. You are able to stay relatively hidden underneath the shadow of the tower. Now I'm going to have you make a strength check for me as you attempt to make this leap. Because it's not a running jump, you are going to be making this at despair.
Okay, it was a non-natural 16, but now with despair, that'll be an 8.
And
Non-natural
It'll be-
16.
It was it was a non-natural 16, then it was a natural 1, but with my strength score it's an 8.
Okay. As you make the leap, you jump over and you attempt to grab the cliff and you begin to slide down into the fog. As you do so, you are going to take 6 points of impact damage for every 10 feet you fall, and you fall 15 feet. And so 6 times 3 it would be 18. So 18? Yeah. Yep. 18 points of impact damage as you find actually your footing onto what looks to be a sandy, rocky shore.
Okay. Can I check it out? What's going on down there? Am I hidden by the mist?
You are hidden by the mist, so you can't even see anything up above you. And you can see probably within about like a 6 to 8 foot radius around you. But it's swirling and it feels quite humid down here. But before we do that, we're going to go back to Thordane. So Thordane, as you're wandering around and looking, you see as you make your way to this crook, there is a small tower, a tower that connects the two walls together. There is a door that is there. It has it's shut. You don't know if it's locked or not, if they regularly keep these things to do so.
Does he see any access to, aside from towers, does he see any, like, I mean, even if it's like closed, like lattice gates or something, closing off the bay or anything at any point along that side?
You don't see anything like that. However, you do see that there are a couple drainage sections where basically at the bottom there's kind of like a half circle cut out of the wall and it's got bars there. So you can kind of peer
Do they
through
seem
them.
durable?
If you want to check them. From the look at it, they just look like iron bars.
Okay, but he's gonna see if they've been like well taken care of. If they're maybe the iron bars, but maybe they're set aside for people to sneak in, if that makes sense. Like,
Are
can move
you
'em.
gonna try to
gonna just, like-
look to see if you're doing this stealthily, or are you just casually gonna be just like I
Oh,
think
yeah.
of like Dwight in that one episode of The Office where he goes to like the party and he's like checking the banisters and like things like that at the party of the house.
Yeah, he'll do it that way. He's a man of science. He'll be able to talk his way out, right?
Sure.
He'll be like going up to the wall. And he's like, this is sturdy construction. Oh, look at this.
So as you kneel down to check the bars of this, I'm gonna have you
Yeah.
make a knowledge skill check for me.
That's a natural 16 for +4, so 20.
You, as Thordain examines it, you can see the manner that this was made in the exact type of metal that it is. From what Thordain can tell, this is a metal that is pretty corrosive and probably needs to be replaced every few years. It doesn't look to be blemished or anything from the look of it, but you're going to have to put your hands on it in order to actually investigate to see if it's sturdy or not.
He will. He'll be like, and he'll reach out for it.
Make a strength skill check for me.
Okay. That's a 9.
9. You'd be able to tug back and forth on a little bit, and it seems relatively snug. However, the middle bar, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. The second one in seems to be a little bit loose, and with a decent amount of strength, you might be able to rip it out. But it doesn't look like anybody
He's not
has
gonna-
used this for like trying to access the bay or anything. It just looks like a drainage.
Okay, he'll do the same thing. He'll just go down like looking like he's exploring the wall and be like, "Oh yes, fine construction," and as if he's a pedestrian still strolling through the gardens who got sidetracked by the magnificence of the wall that he's seen.
And you do
He's a
so,
man
and
of
as
science,
you
so.
continue, you hear eventually a guard that's peering down from the towers like, "Oi, who goes there?"
Oh yes, don't mind me. I am just a man who loves buildings, and this seems like a very fine wall you have here. Don't mind me.
He shakes his head and he just says, "You're a peculiar fellow, aren't you, elf?"
Oh, well, I am the captain of a ship, so I like things that are magnificent themselves, and as such a magnificent wall, it seems like it has magnificent men guarding it as well.
Make a charm skill check for me.
What's going on here? Charm? He's pretty good at charm, actually.
He's a fancy boy.
That's a 13.
13. He's like,
Yeah.
all right. Well, typically ship captains don't have much to do with stone, do they? He doesn't seem to be questioning.
Oh, but I'm not just
what like your general purpose there. It seems to check out. Like he seems he's convinced that you're actually checking out the wall.
Sweet. Oh, well, at ease, good sir. Glad to see you're doing your job and keeping this island shipshape. Just continue to walk on.
I am indeed. Don't go poking your nose into business that doesn't belong to you, though.
Oh, don't worry, I won't. I'm just sightseeing. He'll continue to
Carry on then.
Explore.
Belvin, as you
Does he
find
find
your way
anything
down
else?
here onto this beach, you wander. And so I guess the question is, what specifically are you trying to discover or looking for? Do you want to like go along like the edge of the wall? Do you want to go out into the water, see like what the dealio is, see if there's anything here of importance or anyone here of importance?
Yes, I think I first want to go around the perimeter.
Okay.
Like along the ocean, then along the back to see if there's anything like weird going along there, and then just
So-
generally check out if anyone's down here.
You make a few paces, and you can see that it's beachy, so it gradually slides into the water there. And as you look at the water, it looks like black, like murky black. If you touch the water, it's like icy cold to the touch. very much more than the water that is surrounding the island, which is a little peculiar. But I'm going to have you make an elemental skill check for me.
Okay. Roll is on point for today. 4.
4. And with that, you're just like, ooh, icy. You pull your hand out. Take a little taste. It's very salty. But you continue around the perimeter. And it goes for a solid probably couple hundred paces as it kind of juts along the side here. It's very gentle as the water kind of laps up onto, as if it's been undisturbed for a while. It's just pretty natural the way that the water's lapping onto the sand. You make your way to the back. As you look up, you still can't see anything that's above you, but you see that this side of the wall too is just as sheer. And you make your way kind of out and around the back of the wall.
Do I hear any voices or anything? Any sounds at all besides the
Make
laughing?
a focus skill check for me.
10.
Your sense of hearing is actually heightened down here. Almost the fog canopy almost creates this like echo effect, as if it's kind of like you're in like a cathedral with like this roof. It seems to trap the sound that's below. The only thing that you can hear is the gentle lapping of the waves up against the stone and your footsteps as you walk around. So if anybody was walking down here, you would be able to hear it. I don't think anybody could be stealthy enough to not make some kind of noise down here.
Okay.
And as you continue to finish around the perimeter, I'm going to have you make another focus skill check for me.
That one, baby.
Oh,
There doesn't seem to be anything here of particular interest. However, clearly, from what you could see up above, this does look to be some kind of a bay, and from what you could see that there is a little kind of portcullis and gate. Small ships could dock here, or boats of any kind, but they would need to be let in and gained access in order to do so.
Okay. I can't believe you guys made me use my blessing on a stupid other one. Let's see. Do I like? There's got to be a way down to the beach. Do I see any like stairwell, or like how would people get down here?
It's difficult to
I
tell
can't
from
tell.
the shore that you are. When you were up on top of the fence, there was it was difficult to tell. This just seems very odd, very precarious. Why there would be a gate here, if that makes sense.
If I was looking for a way out, is the only way for me to get out to climb?
From what you can tell, from what you were able to see, and from a natural one.
Yeah. So do I realize that I've gone in like the complete circle? Like,
Yeah,
do I know
definitely.
I'm
You've
back
made your
where I
way
began?
back. You recognize the general terrain and like kind of like the crevice, the corner that you were in, for sure.
Okay. So then I'm gonna just try to climb back up, out, basically the same.
I'm going to
place.
say that you can easily do so with your gliding climbing. However, I'm going to ask you to make a stealth check. It's going to be with hope because of the fog, but you're going to do so. Question though for you, are you climbing back up to where the fence is on that side of the gap, or are you climbing up to this kind of central section?
It might be stupid. Let's go to the central section where I jumped and I missed, and that's where I fell down.
Make
I
a
do
stealth
kind
check
of want
for
to
me
see up
then,
there.
with
Okay.
hope.
That would be.
Kyle, your
15.
camera went all blurred.
Whoa. It's okay, continue talking. I'll fix this.
It's just natural or 15.
15. Oh yeah, you're nobody notices you as you grab my face. Oh yeah. No. Come on now.
You should just be that close to the camera the rest of the time.
Okay. You.
So-
Oh. For a second, it wanted it. Okay.
So I'm out of the mist now.
You're out of the mist and you're up onto the cliff, but nobody
Okay.
has spotted you. But you see in this kind of like arc that's around, that's basically just wall. You can see there's a like 2 towers here where you have to go through in order to go over the top of the gate. And you see that there are, again, the 2 people here, and there are some people going along basically this stretch of, and it's about, again, 3-minute gaps in this part of the wall. This one, it's about a minute between the passing.
Okay, and the grassy area, it's just like a flat grassy area.
Yeah, it looks very
Oh,
unkept, like as if like people don't normally walk here. However, I'm gonna have you make a focus skill check for me.
Alrighty, okay, there we go. 19.
19 at the very far end here where the gate meets, there is a door that leads into the tower.
Okay.
So that would be probably the main access point out into this grassy area.
Okay. I think I've seen enough. I want to try to make the jump and kind of get back to a more secluded area where I can jump back over the fence.
All right, I'm going to have you make a stealth check for me and then a strength check.
Stealth check? At least that's been holding up. That's a 17.
Oh yeah, definitely stealthy. Strength check. You have a running jump this time, and so you don't have to worry about the despair. Just strength.
Okay.
Strength.
9.
As you do so, you jump into the air, and you're able to grab on quite easily, and you're able to make your way back out wherever you are. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move over to Luxalia and Yuki.
But by the way, did Thordain find any other weaknesses potentially or not?
No.
That was the only
it's
one.
pretty fortified around here. Cool. Yes, Yuki and Luxalia. We don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of it. Do you want to just go and find something to buy?
Yeah, we're gonna buy a medium-sized animal for prayer stuff.
Okay.
So I guess we'll ask the farm keeper any unblemished animal that could be used as a sacrifice.
Oh, you're the 3rd person to come today for that. Well, I have a number of options here. We have goats and sheep and heifers and chickens and...
Basically livestock.
Knowing Luxalia is gonna go over to one of the fancier looking ones for like giving
Yes,
them.
yes,
So what
feel
would that
free
be,
to
like a heifer?
interact with them.
She's gonna have a moment with them, and she's gonna like look into their mind's eye and decide which one would be more pleasing to Alomnia.
Make a piety.
I'll
skill
roll it
check.
if you just tell me what it is.
A piety skill check. I think her piety is like
That's a
plus
9
6.
plus whatever.
I think it's like a plus 6.
It's a 9 plus whatever.
I think
So
it's
would
like
that be a
6.
15 then?
15? I don't know. I don't have her sheet pulled up. I'm just gonna say it's a plus 6. I think it's really high. Sure, 15. She looks at a few of the animals. She's looking for a more medium sacrifice. So she's going on to kind of like the goats and like and whatnot. She looks into some of their eyes, and one of them headbutts her as she looks, and she's like, clearly not that one. She goes through a couple of them, and there is a kind of like a brownish one. And as she examines the fur and everything, she sees that it's relatively unblemished. However, I'm going to have her make a focus skill check. Yuki, because you're helping her, this can be with Emboldened. Actually, we'll have you make the check. And then she looks into the eye, and she's like, this looks pretty good. And then you're going to check.
Emboldened plus 2?
Emboldened plus 2. Yes.
Okay, so that's
Plus 2 to the roll.
a 9. What kind of check is it?
Focus.
Oh, 9. 11 plus 3, 14.
14. You don't notice
14.
any cuts. This does look pretty unblemished.
So you're not telling me that Luxalia didn't go over to whatever animal it was and be like, it's the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It ain't no Charlie Brown Christmas tree, right?
It ain't no Charlie Brown Christmas tree, no. It just looks like a goat.
All right.
But she's like, I have a feeling this is gonna be the one.
She's gonna choose that one and ask, "Hello, how much would this goat be?"
Oh, this goat. This one's name is Billy.
You hear
That's a good one there.
No, it really is Billy.
Ah, yes.
He's a
That
young
is
goat
the
of 2
perfect name
years.
for a goat. And he's gonna make a wonderful sacrifice. How much is he?
Of course, of course. He's been raised and bred for this moment or for milk. He's a good milking goat.
Well, I don't want to milk him because that'll make him blemished.
No, no, no. He's been milked plenty of times. Doesn't unblemish them. It proves that he is a good, worthy sacrifice.
Well, here's what I want to do.
Do you want
If
to
we
try a
pay
glass of
a
his
little bit
milk? And she
extra-
gets down and she begins trying to milk him.
Do you mind if you can like get a bucket of this milk for us, and then we can buy him?
Well, you would have to pay for the milk and then for him.
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay, yes. And then you see her just get to work. She starts milking this goat. Why this female goat's named Billy? Who knows?
How much would this goat in the milk be?
Well, if you're taking the goat is lots of productivity and some money that we can get from it. So if you're buying the whole goat, Billy would be worth 6 EC, and then for the milk, I would charge you for this bucket 1 EC. Make sure you find some ice or a place to refrigerate it. It will go bad if you don't put it somewhere good. Nice and cool.
Don't worry, we will consume this right away. And she hands over the EP that Thorian had given, and she's like, "Keep the change."
Oh, well, that is very generous of you. May it prove to
And
be a
then we
good
take the goat.
sacrifice to Alamnia. And with that,
Yes,
you
I
buy.
think it will, Billy Goat.
Ah! Or it's one of those goats that go. I don't know.
And spit.
And last but not least, we will head over to Zill, our good lad Zill. So you had stayed back,
Yes.
and are spending time specifically with both Brother Julian or just the High Priest. Which one do you want to talk to?
Both if possible.
Okay. Both of them will stay. For Brother Julian, as he leads the others out, he will eventually make his way back in.
Okay. So, I've got 2 questions for you. One that's kind of quick and just a novelty, but the other has some weight to it. First off, I have this armor that I recently bought that is supposedly enchanted. Would love to know with what, but I don't know if that is
Enchanted,
a
you
skill
say?
you have. I know it's cold. That's all I got.
Do you mind, as the High Priest Godfrey, he makes his way, as he puts his hands basically on your shoulder on the plates, and he begins to close his eyes and he prays. And this takes some time. I'm going to have you, Zill, make an elemental skill check for me.
What's my modifier? I'm on the wrong tab. 10.
After about 2 or 3 minutes, he opens his eyes and he removes his hands from your shoulders and he steps back and he says, I can sense a great spirit within you. I cannot quite place my finger on it if it's coming from your armor or from yourself. From what I have guessed, you have been blessed by the Serac, but which one I am unsure. And he looks at the armor and he says, what is this? Earthshia make?
Yes. The actual, oh, what's his name? I wrote it down. Hold on. The, smith in town. Jorn Hammerstrike. Made this for me.
He is quite well, renowned blacksmith, and he tends to, well, his armors tend to be nothing short of masterpieces. This couldn't have costed you anything short of most normal people's livelihoods.
It was a fortune, and I had to let go of the armor I made myself. But now your town is blessed with an armor made by a member of Eclaas. Sorry, that's a
He
little of
chuckles
my
a bit.
pride showing.
He chuckles a bit. It's okay to take pride in your work that you do. But this armor, it has a interesting feel to it. I feel eternal conflict within the mana that resides within you or within this armor. Again, I am unsure. If you were to take perhaps your armor off, maybe we could try again with me just holding it.
Sure, that makes the next question a little easier to talk about anyway. It's,
Okay.
So I do.
Okay. So you're in your tunic and everything as he takes it and he investigates it. He spends a couple of more minutes with this armor, and his eyes kind of, as he opens them, you can see kind of almost this flicker of like blue in his eyes as he just snaps back to himself, and he says, This is very good craft. But also, it's quite a special piece. In fact, this has been enchanted. Jorn is correct. The powers seem quite potent, and it requires somebody of exceptional manic skill to be able to unlock and see what this would be, what the use of this would be. But I can sense the element of light within. Outside of that, I'm unable to give much more to what this would actually hold. The actual effects of it, I'm sure you will find out for yourself sometime soon.
Okay, thank you for your insight. Now, to the more pressing question. Do you want me to start with the easy part or the hard part?
Whatever makes you most comfortable.
Well, see, the hard part will make you a little uncomfortable.
Speak, brother. Do not hesitate.
So, I recently discovered a talent of mine that is unique and off-putting to most, but doesn't come with the ill effects you would expect.
Continue.
He just says, "Hello, my name is Zill in Void."
He just stares back at you. From you, it just sounds like, hello, my name is Zill in Void. But as you say so, the room itself almost seems to darken, and you hear, and what they hear is kind of this grumbling. Basically be uttered, and they, both of them look at you, and immediately brother Julian, he makes his way over to you, and he begins saying prayers over you.
I understand your response. And I was shocked at first, but I've caught whispers. Only those so far of a group that know this tongue, but are still warriors of light. And somehow I'm one of them. All I know is they exist.
The high
wondering
priest, he looks at you and he says, "This is quite serious. If you would allow me to verify these words that you say, I can help perhaps provide a little bit of clarity.
Okay.
Please
Yes.
sit. And he offers you to have a seat as he basically goes into the back and he takes out a vial of something and he holds it to his chest and he says to you, for how long have you been able to utter these dark words?
It's more recent, actually. Oh gosh, what level did I get that at? Was just kind of a skill that you've heard of our adventures. We run into some nasty folk. Unexpectedly, one day I didn't understand them. One day I did.
Begins as you're talking. He begins to go into the various shelves, and he's listening. He's like, okay. He grabs a few books here and there, and he goes and he places them on the table in front of you. As you're telling your story, I'm gonna have you make a focus skill check for me.
Okay. 7.
Your eyes are drawn to these books. A couple of them have some text. Actually, it's interesting because a couple of them are religious books. Basically, one of them is like a priestly handbook and everything. Another one is actually one that talks about just like how to sail ships and all that kind of stuff. And he keeps putting them in front of you. He's like, "Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just organizing my things," as he continues to walk around. And he eventually makes his way behind you as he begins doing the shelf. And as you continue to read these, you see that the words that are on the covers of these pages, like, you feel really drawn to open them and to read them, specifically on the sailing book for some reason.
For some reason, this book makes sense. Also, it's been a while. I've known this since level 2.
Okay.
So it's been a while. But this book I can see these, but this book in particular about boats, which is weird. I don't know how to swim. It's a big fear of mine, but
Just keep telling me about that. He very casually just continues to do so as he disappears off behind you.
Well,
I'm gonna have you make a faith survival check for me.
Faith survival. Ooh, supposedly I'm good at that. But my dice is not. We're back, baby. 10.
10. He as
I rolled a 3.
As you begin talking about this book and how you're drawn to it, he reaches behind you and he opens the vial a little bit. And he dips his finger in and he flicks it on you, the back of you. There is no immediate response. In fact, you don't actually even feel anything. And he closes the bottle back up. He sets it on and he goes over and he's like, "Enough about this," as he closes the books and everything. And he puts everything back on the shelf. And he sits in front of you and he's like, "Continue to tell me more about what the origins of this are, the things that you've been able to use this foul tongue to do."
I've actually been able to use it to speak to our enemies in a way that help us get the upper hand in our battles with them. Like I said, I've heard stories of this tongue being corrupting. And I mean, okay, I'm no saint. I had a rough childhood, but I don't feel like I've gotten any worse. I've actually, especially your service today was very beautiful, and a new stone in the path to personal betterment, honestly. And well, I think it's the other part I wanted to talk to you too. I think these are the foundation. And Zill points out, I just decided where all these runes are. Where did I write
sweet.
it down? So he's Vrudon is on his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
Kesh is on his thighs. Barsul is just kind of one big one, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
And Yenru is on the back of his hands.
Okay.
So it's on like the thighs, everything but the chest is on both sides.
Okay.
So they're kind of mirrors. He's like, do you recognize these?
He looks at your hands and he immediately looks at the hands and then the wrists and he says, interesting. And he goes back to his shelves and he pulls out another book. This book looks far older than the ones that he was placing in front of you. And he begins to flip through the pages and whatnot. And eventually he lands on a page talking about specifically the Serac. But he says, not much information has been divulged about the Serac through generations, but in demonology, in the practice and the study of ethereal beings, we must understand what this means, being able to utter words of malice, words of evil. As you had mentioned, it does have a corrupting effect. Never before have these words been spoken within this temple, but I can see that it hasn't broken your spirit. I can deem that you are not inhabited by a creature of evil.
I would hope not. I fought enough of them.
And he continues to go down the list. He says, there are a few of these Serac that we do know their names and their origins. Throughout history, there have been individuals that have been chosen. Haliska, for example. Haliska's power allows people to vanish inside the shadows, to be able to sneak to and from, to be able to vanquish evil before it even knows that they are present. Melenique, on the other hand, is those who are gifted with this ability are not only musically gifted, but unfathomable when it comes to their speech, when it comes to their silver tongues.
Our friend Yuki that you met earlier.
Belornin is one of chivalrous spirit, of standfastness, of duty, and will use themselves as a guard against the darkness to others, often putting themselves in danger before they let harm befall others. Kororix. Kororix is a quiet one. Those blessed with the gifts of Kororix often find meditation in the spirit to be their main senses of power. Some have been granted with the gift of nonviolence, pacifism, while others use this gift to a terrible but just degree. Those who have this power have to find the balance within themselves, within their own thoughts and their own spirit, to be able to control the unrelenting force of mana that runs within their very veins. Sansia? Sansia is one. Those who are blessed by Sansia's gifts are one with the natural world. They're able to see and perceive things that the average eye cannot see. They can track, they can hunt, even commune with animals and find understanding within the natural creatures of this world. And Solanumnar, those gifted with this, the grace of this Serac, are studious and knowing of things even beyond that of the most educated scholars in the land, almost as if their knowledge is divine revelation. Of these are the ones that are known, the powers that we have seen reflected throughout history. But yours is curious. I've never seen such a thing. Such gifts or curses. There are a number of Serac that exist that are beyond even our understanding and our knowing. But yours, your gift might, for us, at least in the Order of Amandalius, be an insight to, hopefully, not a demon, but the gifts of a Serac.
I can only hope. I've dealt enough with demons to know they're, not ideal.
And yet you carry something of great evil with you still, yet it still hasn't corrupted you, and he points to the wing that's on your back.
Ah, yes, my spoils of war.
Most objects that are taken off of demons of great power, they have the ability to seep in and corrupt those from within. They have void-in energies, void-in magics. But for those who are faithful, these powers have a numbed effect. Tell me, what is your relationship with Alomnia, if any at all?
Well, today was a new experience for me at your service. I grew up an orphan in Helix, where, I mean, there was a little bit of talk of Alomnia and a little bit of talk of just that sort of thing. But it wasn't. It wasn't a regular part of my life per se. But it was there in a way that, you know, someone of your kind might not appreciate as much. Temple, this was one of my first times in a temple ever. But there's a recognition that there was something.
This is curious.
Never really understood what, but man, when you grow up on the street, you're in charge of many others, younger, weaker, and in a worse spot than you, gotta believe in something, or yeah, nothing to get you out of bed.
And this is curious. The reason I ask is, throughout history, all of the historical contexts that we have of those who have been granted this great ability of the Seracs, oftentimes they have been granted to those of the faithful, those who have striven their entire lives to fight for what is good, fight for what is just, but ultimately to fight for the cause of Alomnia. In the Order of Amandalius, we are not so much a dogma as we are a people.
Yeah.
And we believe that this salvation of our king...
I can tell you where this started.
please.
So I've got a goal to be the best blacksmith of Everlast. And this goal started because, like I said, I'm an orphan. My parents died before I had a chance to know them. Our house fell in. And for some reason, I don't know, I either wasn't there or I made it out. And a good friend of my father's. Oh, I know I have it written down somewhere. A good friend of my father's. Oh, please. Clark. He took me in. He didn't have room in his house, but he trained me. Trained me to be a blacksmith. He's the Helix Smith, the main one for the common people. So I apprenticed under him. I had to fend for myself after, but he paid me as best he could. And slowly I amassed other kids in my situation that I took care of. And one night I was working on a project, and my tongue slipped, I reacted, I lunged into the furnace. A very dumb thing to do as a blacksmith, but I panicked. It was one of those things where if I messed it up, Clark would... He was always kind, but he had his temper. He would take it out on me. Not in any damaging way, not in any abusive way, but I probably wouldn't eat that week. I probably wouldn't get much more work that week, so I lunged in and obviously I burned my hands. But when I pulled out of the fire, instead of burns, I had the first of these runes right here.
Does a burn always result in a new one of these?
No. The others have appeared of their own volition. But that's where the first came from. And it had an immediate pain, as one sticking your hand in a fire would, but the pain didn't last. Like you would expect. And it took me a little bit to realize, but eventually I understood what these were, and just give them a quick demonstration of basically knock over a stool.
As you do so, are you using Vrudon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As you do so, you speak, and it's almost a muffle that comes out. He doesn't hear Vrudon as you say it. He hears a kind of like it's not like evil per se, but it's kind of like a muted thing that is emitted from you as you're able to knock over a stool, and there's a kind of a blue glow and immediately a small burst that comes out of your hand. And he looks and he says, "Curious."
And may I finish my tale first?
Do so.
As one less fortunate comes into some power, I tried to exert it. And at first, it made things better for myself and my orphans. We feasted for about a month. And then chaos came. So I hid it. It was the only thing I could point to that brought the chaos upon us. And things went back to normal. We were still struggling, but we were safe. And then my home was attacked by a Jabberwock. That's how I met the others you met today. They were defending the city from this beast, and I love my home. It's not always kind to me, but it's always there. And I jumped in and they took me in, and suddenly this gift had a purpose. This gift was used not for taking, but for giving. Getting security, defense, safety. I'm not always perfect. Sometimes we, especially Belvin and I, have a little too much fun. But chaos hasn't come. So I think there's something, maybe someone, who's given me this, who wants more for me. And the closer I get to that, the better things seem to go. And with that came several other things. It's not just these interesting brands that I have. It's the new language that I won't repeat in these hollowed halls. It's I might not look it, but I can take a hit. I have more resilience than someone of my age and size you would expect.
Interesting.
I'm trying to figure it out myself.
His face remains stoic as you begin to tell him this story. He asks to look closer at these runes on your hands, these scars, and as he does so, he keeps muttering to himself, curious, curious, as he sees that like they're perfect mirrors of themselves in it, and he says, and you just happened to know how to pronounce such symbols.
Yeah, it just came to me as I got them, as if it was a memory that I always had.
The elves of Hightower for long have been the keepers of many of the secrets of mana. I am a mere servant, and he's a human, so he's not a Hightower elf, and I am yet a servant of the practitioner of Amandalius. Those who are born with the gift, the elves, the high elves, they have the ability to discern mana, to discern understanding out of things such as these, and it requires a scholar perhaps of more than just my understanding to be able to explain what these are to you. I have never seen such a thing, but they look ancient. And he thinks for a moment. The only advice that I could give to you is twofold. Use that power, especially that power of your tongue, sparingly. We do not understand or know the effects of what it can do, even if you are protected to a degree. The utterance of such words has the ability to not just corrupt you, but the ones around you. Second, seek out the chief of my order, the chief high priest in Hightower. He may be able to help you understand these gifts, this power. And with that, we are going to end our session for today.
Woo! That was really good.
And with that, let's go ahead and jump onto thoughts for the evening. We'll go ahead and start with Connor. Thoughts on tonight's session?
Yeah, it was just one of those rolling nights where the dice just never really got above 10 for me. So That was a little tough. I think it was especially tough. The back-to-back rolls of it was a dirty 16 with the spare turned into a natural 1. And then shortly after that, a natural 1. We're on the map. You can see there's a cave there. And Belbin is just oblivious to it. So, very curious about that. Very curious how, like, kind of what will pan out there. I felt like the little mission was good, but didn't get a whole lot from it just because some rough rollings for tonight.
Mm-hmm. You know,
But
it happens to everyone. I mean, it was to think about it this way though. It wasn't like so dismal that you wouldn't have been able to like get anything. At least it was a little bit productive to a degree, which
Yeah.
is good.
And to be fair too, some of those bad rolls could have happened when I was over the water, and then going into the water wouldn't have been good either. But yeah, even investigating the water didn't go well either. So I don't know. Back and forth on like
The salty cold water.
it's yeah,
Delicious.
exactly. It's like it wasn't horrible. Now at least I know the landscape, but man, I think there was much more that could have come from it.
For sure, for sure. But hey, now that you know and now you're curious and you have information to give to the rest of the party, and so hopefully when the future sessions come to pass, you have a better idea instead of just jumping over and falling into the icy cold water that is below. So you kind of have a general
Yeah.
understanding of what the environment looks like, which is good. So sweet. Anything else,
No, other than that, good session.
Dane?
Yeah, it was really good. Also, I think one thing that can't be stated enough, even after just like the first hour in 15 minutes or whatever of that session, getting rid of some of that vice helps a lot. I know. How many did you get rid of? One, Belbin?
I get rid of 1. Yeah,
It's better than 0, you know?
it is. Yeah.
Thordane's almost in virtue, and Yuki's in virtue now because of that. And I mean, I don't necessarily know what that's gonna do, that's gonna give, but it's nice not to be neutral anymore, and hopefully she doesn't do anything that gets her back into neutral. But aside from that, I mean, it was really good. I commented in chat. I really enjoyed the fact, like, I think other than the one session when we were exploring Tali Tali at the cathedral, when we were learning about like the history that was there by putting together the puzzles and whatnot. This is kind of like the first really introduction of like the religion of Everlast, really like in practice, which I thought was really cool and really interesting to see. And yeah, maybe some people thought the beginning part was really boring, but I actually thought it was very, very fascinating. I really enjoyed it, so I thought we got a lot out of it.
Or at least
in today's session.
specifically the traditions of the Order of Amandalius too.
For sure, for sure. But I mean, even just aside from that, like Zil got a lot of like some good backstory out there. I think he learned a lot of things. At the very least, he learned that his armor's light, like a light type armor, which is kind of cool.
True.
And even Belbin, like even though he said I mean, yeah, he didn't roll great, but he found out enough. For example, like if you can go down there, you can hear people on the beach. So if there's just some way we can get onto that beach somehow, then at the very least you'll be able to hear if there are people on there, you know. So even if we didn't find that cave or whatever, it's good. And obviously Thordain will go back and report his news, and he's just continuing being a philanthropist. So
That's true.
I like it.
That's
I
true.
like
There
it.
and there's also like sacrifice and stuff to be had as well. Like there's quite a bit of some story stuff that is going to be going down. But before I go too much into my thoughts, Max, your thoughts on tonight's session?
Yeah, it was interesting I mean, it's something that's been built up to a while of, especially this misery starting to weigh on Zil. Like, oh, there's actually something more going on. And like, okay, spending time with Luke Salia will eventually, hopefully, wear on you in a good way. But like the combination of just like Vice actually meaning something and Luxalia's presence, like when Zil was actually presented with a real liturgy. Like, oh, like no, there is something here. There is something here. Was interesting and unexpected for him, and yeah, he feels like he has this responsibility of like, okay, this responsibility to, yeah, the Order of Amandalius. They were in charge of the Earth Pillar. They need to know that they're not there anymore. The just and this potential, like, you're someone who might understand, like, you've talked about mana, you've talked about this, that, or the other thing, like maybe you can help me, because he does not, he understands he has these powers, he understands how to use these powers, but he does not understand these powers,
the nature of them.
So, like, okay, yeah, you start with the chance, like, maybe you can help me with my armor that I know is special. But beyond that, it's like, no, I've got these marks on my body. I've got this ability nobody has. The only people who have it are evil.
I was curious on, like, when you were going with that, it's like, should I start with the good or the bad? And I was thinking, like, you started off, like, right away. I think you started off with the bad, but if that was the good...
I did.
Okay.
No,
good.
that was the bad.
Okay, I assumed so, because I was like, what's the bad?
No, the bad was definitely, yeah, I'm about to speak void in your
Unleash the
halls.
black speech of Mordor. And Zil's lips disintegrate.
Like, that was
Who are
definitely
you to come
bad.
to the Black Land?
But, like, as naive as Zil is, as much as he struggles, like, he wants to understand where he comes, like, what's going on with him.
Yeah.
And so it's just really cool to get a little bit more of a sense of that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it was good. I thought it was a very good, like heavy roleplay session, of course, but a lot of setup for kind of like future things. Because one of the things that, like, we talked about kind of like the faith of Everlast. Honestly, I think the last time we even had like kind of an even in-depth conversation was in Shiloh, and that was before the actual streamed content. And so, like, it's really important to know that, like, what, like, this world is centered around. And I think it's good for you as players also, where it's just like, you are more than just mere adventurers. Like, you are truly emissaries of Alomnia. You have been given these gifts, and it's always good to be reminded of such. And because way back when you never really got an understanding of, like, potentially, like, where your powers came from, now you have more of an understanding of, like, the responsibility that you have. And so as characters, it's important to be able to take that information and know what to do with it and how to walk rightly and justly in that. And so, yeah, it was a good church session today. It was good. And actually, that was one thing. I wasn't necessarily a direct intention to be able to reveal so much lore and that kind of stuff. Like, this really is, like, it's potentially a step to helping to solve whatever mysteries you guys are solving here. But the fact that, like, that choice was made by you with the scent of the fingers, like, who's to say? I can't write in that, like, Belman's gonna be, like, touching things and doing stuff. And so, like, you yourselves have put yourself in the situation, which is also really cool because, again, as the high priest was saying, Godfrey was saying, you, like, fate has a way of bringing you to certain things and understanding certain things and to certain realizations. And so you've been given more information specifically on the Guardian Scroll. It's good that you brought the information to him about the Earth Key and all that. And then also Zil being able to learn stuff, but also giving you bits to be able to go towards your next thing. And there's a sacrifice to be made, and so maybe there's like chances of removing points of misery further and stuff like that as well. And so it just kind of depends on what you guys are doing, and how genuine your sacrifices are going to be made. So think about it for next session, because that's going to be probably where we're going to be starting off, is this sacrifice and what you guys are going to be bringing to the table and what this is going to look like. So think about it. It might make a big difference. It might make a big difference for some of the characters. It's actually for everyone, but as far as going forward, like what's going to actually come from it. So
Zilla's also very much itching for combat.
I know. Don't you worry. It's coming eventually, inevitably.
Have to fight Rolo and his delicious sweet treats.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's been a while to hear that combat theme and everything, and so yeah, it'll be good to hopefully get to that point again. But yeah, you guys are doing great. Making your way through some of these mysteries of Folden Rock, uncovering secrets about yourself, the world, and also your task. So anything else, Dane, before we do head off?
I'll make it quick.
I'll be right back.
First and foremost, we will be raiding today, so players don't feel obligated to stick around. I'm just trying to make a better habit of continuing to do so. So we're going to go raid our good friend Kamikaze Giggles, who was in chat earlier, and she's streaming currently. So, again, don't feel obligated to stick around, but anyone who's out there viewing and still wants some more really fun content, her streams are awesome. So consider stopping by for that. As far as the week ahead goes, so I will be continuing my new Elden Ring DLC playthrough. So again, Shadow of the Erd Tree just came out this past week, and it's been really difficult and really good and really fun. So I'm going to be continuing that tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then next week's going to be a very normal week. So Sunday night, Kyle will be playing. Again, all these are American Colorado specific time. We will have in the Discord our actual schedule, and I will post that on Sunday. So do not worry about that. It is there, and it is whatever time your computer is set to as well. So don't worry about the time specifically. They'll be available there. But we will be Kyle will be continuing his playthrough of Final Fantasy 16. He's getting really close to finishing it too. So
oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's really good. The music's really good. The art's really good. The story's really good too.
Story, it's a beautiful game.
So yeah, come join him for that. That'll be Sunday. Monday, I'll be back with some Elden Ring. Tuesday, actually, we are back after like 2 months away with Lord of the Rings Eriador Adventures. It's a tabletop RPG, Adventures of Middle-earth. It's Dungeons and Dragons 5e. It's not really 5e. I guess it is 5e. And
5e supplement.
Its own thing. Supplement. It's really cool. It's awesome, especially if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings or any of that. Come join us. That will be starting at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then on Wednesday morning, early, Kyle will be doing some more Final Fantasy unless he finishes it. Then he'll be moving on to a new game. I'll talk.
Well, I do have DLC to go. So once I beat the game, I still have DLC that I can activate, and there's 2 of them. And so we'll probably be for the next few weeks continuing with Final Fantasy, even if I do end up beating the game here soon.
DLC. We'll all be on the DLC. And then Cole will be also streaming on Wednesday some Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'll be back to Elden Ring. If I do happen to finish the Elden Ring DLC at some point, we'll be starting a new playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on my end, which will be really fun. And so that's the week ahead. We do have a couple quick and Everlast specific announcements. So I've been mentioning on the channel, and those of you who have been here a while, we're actually getting closer and closer to releasing Everlast on Kickstarter. Basically, what we're waiting on is, it's like a one person working on the story, Kyle. And so once the actual first supplement of the story, and he's been working full time on it, so he's working real hard on it, but at least for the first supplement, getting that finished. And then we also want to make sure we have the artworks done ahead of time, so by the time we get to the Kickstarter, all of those funds don't have to go towards the artwork, don't have to go towards any of that stuff, but go toward the actual production of the product, whether that's the publishing.
I can't tell you the amount of Kickstarters too that I've also subscribed to or donated to, and it's so excited for it, and then they're just like, great, now we can start making this, and it's like, oh, how long do I have to wait for this? And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be about a year, and it's 2 or 3 years into it. They give regular updates about everything that's going, but being able to have a finished product that I can just roll out to everybody who does pledge and become a part of that Kickstarter, I think will be much better to get it right into your hands as opposed to always just being like, oh gosh, it's going to take forever for me to get this product. So we're getting close to
For
that
sure.
finished product. So
Which will be really cool. It's this first adventure that we're currently playing, which is awesome. When we do eventually get that out, right? Is that correct, or is it going to be great?
No. So this is gonna the Great the Aishan Archipelago, all that stuff is gonna be future stuff. What we're gonna actually be coming out with is I guess it's kind of a little bit of spoiler, but Great Peninsula adventures, and so kind of like everything that's happening in the Great Peninsula, like back in like Helix and all that kind of stuff. So
Cool. Yeah, so that will be coming out. So as a caveat with that, we have some ways to be able to like hopefully get some ways to fund it, because Kyle and I have pretty much been funding the artwork and all of like the stuff behind the scenes. However, we do have a couple of ways that you guys can support before the Kickstarter while also getting some great products as well. So we've been advertising it for like about 2 months now. Coffee of the Realm, it's our partnership with Roastify Coffee. They have 8 different blends of coffee ranging from light roasts all the way to dark roasts. All of the roasts are specifically kind of tailored to a place in Everlast. So you have your Helix roast, where Max is from. You got your Flamongolith blend, which is where Yuki's from, and that's a decaf blend. You even have like, I don't know, Golden Hour in the Silverwood and stuff. Yeah, Kyle's got some examples of those. The artwork is on the packages are Everlast official artwork, so it's really cool. It's a like nice collector's item, but also it's great if you like coffee. And if you're like, I don't know which one I want. There's 8 different blends. I'm not really a coffee person. I don't know what's what. Consider buying one a month, because if we get 10 orders every single month, we can actually make the coffee cheaper, which is really nice. But all proceeds goes towards the creation of artwork and whatnot for Everlast. Yeah, that's our logo for it. Coffee of the Realm. I know there's a bunch of you who don't drink coffee. It's a great gift to be able to give, but we also have another option called Fragrances of the Realm. It just came out this week, actually, our first line. So we have 3 specific summer fragrances, which you can take a look at that link, click it, or go to the About section. They're all labeled there. Feel free to click those and take a look. But our summer fragrances, there's 3 of them, will only be available through through July. So get those while they last. There's some really cool scents located in those. And then we have our fall blends, which will be coming out in fall time. And fall time is my favorite. So I'm really excited for that. I actually ordered them ahead of time so I can smell them. Mystery flavor. This is one of the fall flavors, and it's delightfully fall flavor, fall scented. But yeah, so we have a bunch of really cool candles that you can buy from. So we have tin candles. So the whole purpose of these is technically for tabletop RPGs. Everlast is a tabletop RPG, so they're kind of designed to be in a way to set ambiance for whatever tabletop RPGs you're playing. So, for example, we have the Subterran Glow, which is like you could use for like the Underdark if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it also just smells really nice that you can use for just making your room lively. But yeah, we got 4-ounce candles, we got 8-ounce candles, and then we got specific 10-ounce candles as well. That you guys can buy, and all of them are different like kinds of flavors across Everlast. Again, it's official artwork from Everlast. And then you can also have just some really good smelling candles there too. If you're curious about what they smell like, because again, this one's called Vrostrukal Canopy. What does a Vrostrukal Canopy smell like? On the candle in the description section, as well as on the candle, there's a description on the front. It gives the scenting notes. So you can be like, for example, Vrostrukal Canopy's got lavender with complementing camphor and chamomile and sages, that kind of thing. So it's a very foresty kind of smell. So if you're curious about what they smell like, feel free to look around. They're really cheap. They're really good price. And again, get your summer scents before they leave. And again, those proceeds goes towards supporting Everlast as a game. So I don't know if I have anything else. We have an amazing sponsor, Dai Snacky, Japanese sweets and luxury treats. They're a small family business based in Tokyo, Japan. If you do want to buy from them, they got free international shipping. And make sure to mention, there's like a little comment section that Forge sent you, or Kyle sent you, or Everlast sent you. Basically, or Cole sent you, anyone who's part of the channel, say that they sent you, and we get credit for that, which is really, really cool. And also make sure, if you want, to mention your Twitch username, because you will get raffle tickets to be able to use towards a free giveaway of one of their boxes once we hit a referral limit, which is really cool. We've already given one away to an amazing community member, and we are quickly on our way to another one of those, which is awesome.
So aside from that, I can't think of anything else. Thank you all for stopping by, and yeah, I really appreciate it. Again, if you want to raid with us, when we actually do end, we will raid. And yeah, other than that, I will see you tomorrow. Any last words, Kyle, or anyone else?
Make sure you're praying for each other. Pray for me. I'll be praying for you. Also, may Alomnia guide each and every one of you. I will see you all on Monday, and we will see all of us will see you in a couple of weeks for some more Everlast. Bye, guys.
So fun.
Bye,
Have a
guys.
good night.